We are live.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Dead Air. It is the 13th of August. July.
No, July.
July. Got the date right, got the month wrong. Yeah. Great start. My name is Wayne. I am the writer and co-creator of Ghost Maps. This handsome fellow across from me is...
I'm Kyle. I'm also the co-creator of Ghost Maps and the everything else behind it.
The everything else behind it, correct. Thank you for joining us again once again today. We have a very lovely guest for the 13th episode.
Yeah.
13 on 13.
Yeah. So we had to get you for the special occasion.
I feel very symbolically charged.
Yes.
Good. Ladies and gentlemen, this is Tan Shao Han of Curious Chimeras. We will talk about Curious Chimeras and a whole lot more in a bit because it's not just Curious Chimeras, it's Curious Chimeras and
So much more.
so much more.
Yeah.
Things. Yes. So welcome to another episode of Dead Air. The last episode of Ghost Maps went live. When was it? I think last week, right?
Yeah. Last Thursday.
Last Thursday, yes. And as we get we're getting quite close to a very auspicious month very soon also.
Yeah. Hungry Ghost Month.
A spoopy month. Yes. Coming soon. So that if anybody has been listening to us since the start, you know what to look forward to. If you haven't, we won't tell you, it'll be a big surprise. Or you can go back and look in our archives. Much better option. Yes. So once again, mics provided by Audio Technica.
Yes.
Kyle's headphone also provided by Audio Technica. Show the logo.
All our audio equipment is provided by Audio Technica. Big thanks to Audio Technica. Shout out to Edwin. Thank you.
Our voices lubricated by Pokka Green Tea.
Tiger. And this is like, this drink is like,
Wang Zi.
yeah, it's like Jia Jia Liang Teh but synthetic level max.
I feel like I should have gone for that today.
That was the last one. So,
is it?
Sorry, mate.
Wow. Okay.
That's how special I guess you are.
Guest privileges. Okay.
Right.
Alright, so hello everybody who's there. I can't see the computer.
Yeah, I'll bring up the comments. So, hi Calvin, hi Edwin, and of course WSA. You're not the first today, but we still love you. Yeah.
It's okay. You're first in our hearts.
Yeah.
So our new episode of Ghost Maps went live.
It's a very special episode because it's about Miss P. I'm not gonna mention her name. Yeah. It's a night. So.
Which Miss P one was this?
What do you mean which Miss P?
I'm trying to remember. I remember.
Bob.
Oh, okay.
Bob's Miss P.
Okay.
Charlton Lane.
Because people have said it's been a while since we done a Miss P one. I was like, really? I thought we did.
It has been a while.
It has been a while.
It has been a while. We have one actually.
Bear in mind, I'm also
Coming
the same.
soon. Another one. Yeah.
I'm also the same person that thought it was August. So
Maybe it's not good.
Was it you who said it was August,
Don't
or
do
was
this to
it
me.
Shao?
I said it was August. Then Shao was like, "Are you sure it's not August?"
Oh,
I was like,
okay.
No.
Yeah. Thanks, Shao.
Don't do this to me. Don't do this to me. Memory very bad. Okay. We'll jump right in. So Shao is the co-founder of Curious Chimeras, right? I will read the introduction to Curious Chimeras and then I will give the
Okay.
Then you need to rate him.
BBC voice. Is it?
No, I'll do my BBC voice. Then you come in with the normal voice, and then you give you set context for my BBC voice. Okay. BBC voice. The Curious Chimeras philosophy is simple. We believe that games have the power to be creative tools to spur and focus the imaginations of players. See, I ruined my BBC voice. Not even right accent also. As players interact with each other, we not only create stories, but also discover more about ourselves, our friends, and the environment we live in.
Yeah. Okay. So rate that, is it?
Yeah, okay, rate first.
Yeah, rate him
How
first.
much rate,
man.
I don't know. You're asking to rate, right?
Okay, rate.
Good. Okay, I never heard anyone.
nice
I never heard anyone speak it out loud before. I wrote it down. That's why I'm happy to hear it spoken out loud. So I'm very shallow.
It's okay lah. I so very sure. I couldn't even get the accent right.
It's okay. It's alright.
I lose points for accent.
It's alright. I think you were disrupted by having a spot of tea.
See, but that's the thing. I shouldn't be disrupted by it. If I was a true professional BBC reporter.
Stiff upper lip and everything. Right? Yeah.
could never get my opponent to be stiff. Yes, tell us about Curious Chimeras.
Okay, all right. So hi. That's my company. So I'm the co-founder of this company, the Curious Chimeras. My co-founder, along with me, Alana, it's a two-person operation. I mostly work on tabletop role-playing games. So what is that? We'll get into that for. And also do some experience design. So for example, when people say like a museum or somebody wants us to make something cool for to show the exhibits, then we kind of make playable experiences either on websites or in person, right? So as to engage people who are visitors with interesting things that the museums and stuff might have. So that's kind of like the two phases of my operation. So I'll talk about the second one first, which is not a tabletop one because that'll probably take a bit longer. So things that you may have seen us for is that we did some stuff for mostly the National Heritage Board on trying to, during when COVID was, the lockdown was at its heaviest, then a lot of museums were unable to use their collections, right? So they did a lot of open calls, and that's how we ended up getting to this, to go over and make like a virtual games, kind of like browser-based games. We went in the way with the 360 camera to basically make kind of like a virtual escape room. Actually, it's an entrance room, because you want people to get in and get out, right? Yeah, so that's the kind of things that we sometimes do. And the tabletop games is physical games that we play in person of a table, very much like this. But even then, that's also not always the case because people in this day and age also play increasingly online. So I make games of make-believe where you pretend to be someone else or pretend to be in another place and mostly refresh yourself by not having to deal with your IRL responsibilities, real-life responsibilities for a while as you go with friends into fantastical other places and maybe find out a little, as I say in there with your BBC voice, right? Find out more about ourselves, our friends, environment we live in, to kind of refresh your brain from the 24/7 cycle of modern day life and go into another place where you can be someone that you are not most of the time. Yeah.
So I mean, most people know it as like the D&D kind of stuff, but that kind of just one of it, right?
So you can role play as Miss P if you want.
Well, we'll get to that in a little bit as well. But so but D&D is just like one of them. Right?
I mean, like, if you use like drinks as an analogy, D&D would be the market leader, would be Coke basically. So it's kind of like I mostly work with the Pepsi of the world, which is the sub number 2. We'll talk about that in a while. But like the basically D&D is kind of like the biggest brand name in it, and it's reached a different thing because D&D is like synonymous with RPG for a lot of people to the point where people are like, do you have a soft drink? In some places, it's do you have Coke, right? Like it's reached a kind of brand recognition. Yeah. So D&D is probably the one that the audiences around the world probably are most familiar with, especially because of media exposure recently with the 4th season of Stranger Things. They got 4 seasons of that, and using D&D IPs for that because there's an actual collaboration on that front. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah. I actually thought it was just they wrote it in just because like there were fans and everything. Like, see, that's the thing. Like, I didn't even realize that. Quite noob, but like last time I didn't even realize there was anything beyond D&D.
Oh, it's like that.
So it really is like code like that, because I had no idea.
So it's like when I go to coffee shops and uncle go there. You know, some coffee shops the beer now they have craft beers, right? Randomly, right? Or then it's uncle. I thought only got Tiger and Anchor. What is this world of beer? You know, like it's a bit like basically. It's like
so if like.
So cider like beer lah. Not
okay
really.
Also, you take the apple juice, then you take the tiger beer, then you mix lah.
It's in the family alcohol, but then so is hand sanitizer.
Does that mean that AD&D is Anchor, or does that mean that AD&D is Anchor beer or Anchor stout?
So AD&D is basically because like the A in front is the advanced. So that's the old. It's like that was in the 80s, 90s when there was a basic ass thing, and then they put on things to kind of like modernize it for the 90s, 80s, right? So I guess that's kind of like for everyone, if we would put in that, there will be like pop culture level of like, I have a old Chevy car or something basically, something kind of like, it's kind of prestige to it, right? D&D, the one that people play mostly now these days, is this thing they call the 5th edition of D&D, the most successful selling thing, and a lot of the streams who do it, like streamers and voice actors who do it, right? They love this thing, and it seems as though the market loves it as well, and that's probably the reason why it's even understandable to like, hey, you know, I do D&D. Or last time it would be like it's an old joke, but it's like, oh, you mean your company does dinner and dances? And then I have to kind of like, we could if you paid us enough to put dragons in
there. I made that mistake once also.
It's okay. Annual dinner and dance. Wow, that's a very long time wait for a year. For a game, right? What happened? Yeah, we'll wait 1 year for the game, and the next level, next session will come in, you forget the level, so we'll level up and then we'll wait 1 year again.
Yep.
Okay.
A true quest.
Yeah.
Wait, did we get any?
Yeah. So
I saw you.
So WSA has a very interesting question. Can Shao Han share why they chose the name Curious Chimeras?
Oh, okay. Firstly, I guess like in a very like this, the true secrets behind the very shallow reasons is like firstly the alliteration basically.
I was gonna say, do you have the fancy reason first?
No. I'd like to. I kind of like want to kind of like show the behind the scenes first and throw in.
Yeah.
So firstly the alliteration for it mostly be started from if there's one thing that I guess like for me as a dude who in my day job I mostly work with education, and my night job I write adventures about magic, right? But like one of the things that I guess I want to encourage in youths, especially people I teach or people in Singapore in general, is curiosity. So I guess that'll be the virtue I want to throw in. Curious, the first one. And Chimera is usually a 3-headed beast that fall because it's got a snake as a tail. It has a lion, a dragon, and a goat for heads. And and so chimeras are something fanciful, right? Like, you know, people are like, that can't happen, that can't exist. That's obviously a made up thing. It's a patchwork beast. Or in today's genetics, chimeras will be two things mixed together to create a strain, a new creature, a new hybrid. And so I thought that in Singapore, where people are usually very focused on orthodox kind of like, oh, we want this thing to be traditional. There are boxes and lines. You must be this, you must be that. So I thought it would be good to incur the favor of a mythical beast, right, that has 4 heads, 1 ass, and seems to get along pretty okay. Yeah, it's like, so if it's curious and it's an impossible beast, I put these things together. It's a bit like, sometimes you want to channel like the energy of a particular thing, like, hey, I hope this thing will give me more hot energy, right? So I hope to get some hot energy from a thing that's so patently impossible but it doesn't care and it just swaddles like, hey, yeah, I'm here.
Do you think it's one of the particular heads that handles the Huat? I feel like the Chimera would like Huat is just one of the offerings of a Chimera.
Yeah, like I think mostly like they are also kind of like usually most of the times they are like depicted as bad guys basically, and so like like this is like dangerous thing because it's so weird and possible. So I thought also like if it's successful enough to be a popular pop culture villain in mythology, then I can also rub off on some of that hot energy. If want to be a bad guy also can, but need to be a successful bad guy. Right?
Oh yeah, true. Yeah. Don't want to be henchman.
Henchman also kind of like like henchman is kind of like the gig economy of villainy. Is like. I knew this guy. He was from shit. He would punch off the clock and then go and fight somewhere else. Yeah.
I feel like there's an app for orcs out there that somebody hasn't tapped into yet.
Yeah. Like like Orcver. It's kind of like Fiverr for orcs.
You find your hobbit through another orc.
Yeah, it's like, we're nothing to eat but moldy bread.
I'm too lazy to go. Could you get somebody else to do it?
Yeah, like so. Yeah, that's like why I chose this name. So the alliteration name reason, and also to hope to get some of that nice chaotic energy.
Yeah, I love the name. I feel like chimeras amongst all the dragons, right? They get the worst rap, and they are the least interesting ones.
Yeah,
like you don't really hear someone talk about chimera. You will hear someone talk about hydra, or maybe a twin-headed dragon or something.
Yeah,
which doesn't make sense because it's probably the most visually it's the most eye-catching one.
Yeah, like it's like it's got a lot going on basically.
Yeah, it's not like you come in and it's like reptilian dragon head, like 2 reptilian dragon heads, like no, now goat, what?
Yeah. And then like the Asian chimeras, like the Japanese, the Nue, it's quite interesting. It's just like it's like composite beings are quite fun for me. I kind of like Kirins, all these kind of creatures that's like some kind of patched together.
So if you guys want like database of like creatures, just ask him like especially hybrid creatures.
Yeah, hybrid creatures. Yeah.
Normal creatures, you're like okay lah. But hybrid creatures,
it has to be hybrid. It has to be hybrid.
We can hipster this shit and everything is hybrid to a level. Yeah.
So Jolene Alexandra say, yeah, you all got Shao.
Hi, Jolene.
Yeah.
Hi, Joe.
Calvin says that the name Chimeras Chimera is so catchy though. Yeah, it is.
Yeah, thank you very much. Yeah.
So 13, and he also says that 13 episode of Dead Air quite on brand. Yes, definitely very on brand. That's why, special guest.
Oh, you think it's on brand when you talk about Chimeras Chimera? Wait, once we get to deeper, then you see how on brand.
and they are like saying like if only today was a Friday, this would be like extra hot already. Yeah, like
next time we
closer.
I say next time as if there's gonna be another 13.
Friday 13 was 2 months ago, is it?
We did.
We should have either like got you out earlier or we just wait. Skip a few months.
I was actually playing D&D and I was somehow that night I became a bit of a slasher villain. And then I was like, alright, the power of Friday 13 was me. Yeah, the rest of my friends, the game master was like, whoa, what's going on?
I don't know.
Yeah.
Just influenced by it. Then later on you found out what they were saying.
Yeah.
Alright.
Yep. So
More comments? Okay, cool.
Moving forward.
So history a bit.
Yeah.
When and why did you start?
Okay.
Because I feel like you guys have been around for quite some time already. Right?
Yeah, like basically to be very, very frank with like why and what. Like both me and Alana, like my co-founder, right? Both of us are actually, our background are in teaching, so we have very teacherly lives, right? Both of us also have very strong interest in games, right? So we decided to kind of like, you know what? Let's just maybe throw and do a kind of a thing on the back, right? Rather than throwing our life into the inexhaustible maw of energy of contemporary careers in education, right? Yeah. So kind of like it started a little bit from that kind of energy, and we've kind of like had a lot of like, true to our namesake, a lot of pivots and changes over the years, right? But the main thing that we do is mostly actually, like as I said, the two things are like the experience design things and the tabletop role-playing game things. And why did I do it is because it's a lot easier to do things as a business sometimes than as a person. Like when I have foreign clients who basically like, hey, we have a compendium we want to do of like role-playing game stuff. Like it's a lot easier for me to say, hi, I'm representing a company, and then like I'm talking to publishers, imprints, and I guess that's something that we take for granted a lot in Singapore. This is going to sound like business development class 101, but
yep.
It's like I have friends from like based in Korea or like maybe like the Czech Republic saying, hi, do you mind if we talk about opening a business, because I can't do a Stripe easily, I can't do Kickstarter easily. Then I'm just like, okay, firstly, opening a business in Singapore is very easy. We can have a lot of like the financial things in the backdrop is a lot easier, and a lot of the reason that we created this instead of this is to leverage on a lot of the business entity advantages. Yeah, so that's a boring but very practical actuarial one. Then the other reason is because it's one of those things which kind of, again, the power of motivation, right? Like you're like, okay, I'm in this now, I need to make games, I need to do this and do that, and it's a lot easy for us to kind of like be forever stuck in the personal identity. Like, hi, I'm doing this. This is my thing. But then after a while, your own reputation kind of like consolidates around you. Then maybe it becomes a bit harder to create something new, right? Yeah. So I thought sometimes becoming a company, creating a company and letting the company be its own beast, right, allowed me to kind of like, I don't have to be bound to doing one kind of thing and be stuck doing it forever. So it's for me, my midlife crisis a few years ago. It's like, no, I need to create this. If you want to go all magic-y, the company is almost like a focus for energy to go elsewhere.
Yeah. I actually was enjoying when you were talking about business, because in my head I was picturing the logo, but in a suit.
Like this.
There's like three ties.
Three ties, right? Yeah.
No, like, I mean, like I completely agree with what Shao is saying. Even though it's just Wayne and I most of the time, but people do take us seriously when we name our company HANTU. So when you have an entity, you have an actual entity about entities. People take you more seriously. Like, oh yeah, I want to collab with you. I want to have a partnership. We want to hire you for this and that. So yeah, I totally get where you're coming from.
I'm a bit angry that not once have I made the joke about a business entity.
About entities, right?
Very upset myself now.
It's okay.
Not firing on all cylinders tonight. I cannot believe I missed that one.
It's okay. You get your chance.
Okay.
So Edwin is saying that the story about your name is very good. Just one question. Usual legend is bird sounds get softer as Miss P gets nearer. Could you shed some light?
Wow.
Sorry?
He went straight for it.
The
usual legend is that the bird sounds gets softer as Miss P. You know what's Miss P, right?
Oh, okay, yeah.
Gets nearer. Could you shed some light onto the part where about the bird sounds getting louder just before she appeared? First of all,
I love the pivot.
we have not seen, right? Neither of three of us have seen Miss P or experienced Miss P. I think I'm the closest one. I smelled frangipani before, like then rotten smell lah. But I never heard the bird thing. So do you guys know about the bird thing?
Yeah, like actually, the place I stay is like apparently quite notorious for having
Which one?
vegetative
Is it the
creatures associated with. In the old times, they'll be nature spirits, but now they are floating friends. Yeah.
Oh wait, so before we went on live, you told us the place that you came from just now lah, to this place.
Oh yeah.
That place lah.
So
Okay.
actually, it's like but it's my own place.
Yeah.
So like basically, but now it's changed quite a bit. But I do remember like older Malay neighbors would say, "Oh, don't stay out too late in this area." Everything, and we have a lot of trees, a lot of random frangipani smells, and bird sounds as well. Basically, yeah.
You guys should thank Edwin because he got Shao started on the ghost stories already.
See, and then y'all should get
Edwin, you're very, very smart.
y'all should get angry at me because I'm gonna delete that just a little bit.
Yeah. So like, I just want to add on to it.
Very
we got reviewing where Shao stays, but he stays in the eastern part of Singapore, which is near the far eastern part of Singapore.
Yeah.
And I do agree that that area had a lot of old Malay kampongs, and they had like it's a park that
Yes, definitely.
Okay. Yeah, roughly know where it's like a bit
Because
swampy.
our mutual friend knows where I stay. Right? I'm sure you have Peranakan food in the area. Yeah. That was exactly what I did.
So Johor then, right?
Sure.
Yes, definitely.
Yes.
Yeah.
Sure.
I like how you were like, you know, it's developed over time. It's like that could literally be anywhere in Singapore.
It could literally.
Okay,
Literally
so Edwin, I don't want to leave you without a story. So I'll promise you later. You remind us. We'll give you a story that Win and I both experienced recently about Miss P.
Yes.
We are both pretty sure that it was Miss P.
Yeah.
And it involved Miss P, Changi, and a dog. Okay, so.
Miss P is a good name because that's kind of like
Fatima Rocker.
yeah.
Apparently that's the other one.
That is the old name. It's like in Malay, right? That's the old name for Miss P.
I always feel
No, the old name is Kaka.
Okay, your older sister, right?
Yeah.
I always feel Fatima Rocker is playful. I don't know whether I feel like I shouldn't say it just yet because like, you know, you want to get to know. Like, maybe you don't want to get to know, but it feels like a nickname, whereas Miss P feels like a title.
Yeah.
I feel Kaka is the most scary one. Like Kaka, like you know, like
I have
elder sister.
I have an older sister, so yes. Kaka
No, but you don't. Yeah. Yeah, but you know what I mean, right? Yeah. Anyway, let you spoil the fun. Go ahead.
Yeah, I was spoiled the fun. No, because I actually wanted to jump on something that you said earlier on, which actually very nicely ties into my next question. Because you were saying that you talked to a lot of people,
Older folks, yeah.
well, older folks, but also like people
Folks,
who want to start businesses and stuff
yeah.
like that, everything. And that's like, for me also, this is a big surprise though, because like if I think about what you guys do, right, that's not the first thing that pops into my head. So like just the broaden it a bit, like, you know, you mentioned Stranger Things, then like ever since Stranger Things, I'm sure a lot more people start playing tabletop games lah. What kind of people do you get now? Like not just on the tabletop side of things, but like nerds. Talking about us lah, we played with him before.
Yeah, I guess like the traditional stereotype of tabletop role-playing games in the past, maybe like 20 years ago would have been that it's a very specialized hobby. So it's like something like on the geek cred level of like, you know, I have like people be like, oh, you are a certain level of immersion into geek subcultures before that. But now it's become a lot more mainstream adjacent rather than deep immersion in geek stuff. Yeah. And a part of it is, of course, I guess, the marketing and design of a lot of different companies to like make it such that you can just go buy a box and like, hey, let's spend time with my kids and pretend that we are ice dragons trying to find a cold drink in the desert or some kind of like children's story you like to create with your kids. Last time it was mostly power fantasies of like, yeah, man, I'm going to like, you know, I'm going to be like, you know, all muscular and like, you know, my muscles are like quite muscles. Hey, can you pass me the Gatorade? Like, you know, that was a stereotype of the past, right? Which is like, you know, in Stranger Things 4, like basically like during the time of the satanic panic of the time, that's pretty much kind of like it was a kind of a deviance but not even a super deviance, it's a polite deviance. It's like, you have posters in your basement inside there and like youthful rebellion energy, right? Then you grow up thinking that you're all badass, but actually not really because you're playing air guitar at home. So it's like kind of like that kind of like I guess like energy of basement energy of friends. Like you're happy, you're lucky enough to have a big garage. You come by, start a band, play some D&D. Never don't go out for the summer to do jobs or whatever, right? But nowadays it's a lot more like people go into a shop like, oh, I watched a stream, I watched a video. What is this thing? It looks quite fun. Do you know anyone who does this game? Last time would be, yeah, my friend say he got a friend who do this, and then that's where because it was such a like thing. And then now with the power of money, right? So it's like, yeah, I know there's a place, there's a shop which people can play this game at. We go there, we pay some money, they can do for us. Okay, we don't even need to buy the thing. Then it's like commitment. It's like, I don't want to jump in and buy a $80 set of games if I can spend $10 to $20 per person and then spend the same money, get experience, and decide whether I like it more, right? So I guess that's the big shift that's happened. You get a lot more general leisure people, a lot more families, friends, and I even have people asking, hi, we have a hand party for someone, can we do a RPG for them? Like this person has always wanted to, this is the person's favorite fantasy series, can you make a game based on this fantasy series?
That just
then
sounds
I
wrong.
just kind of like charge them for reading the books and doing the research and then creating something that will fit in canon, because between chapter 18 and chapter 20 there was one chapter where there was somewhere that this could take place. Then it's like to this professional white collar people will be like, oh my god, I get something. It's like kind of like an artist commissioning something for you. It's like bespoke experiences, right? Then people get very excited because you're like engaging some part of their childhood again, I guess.
I like how you said like last time it was like, oh, I know a guy who used to do this.
Yeah.
And then
Sound
back
like
then
Bobo.
you were the guy that and you're still the guy.
Yeah,
He's still the guy. Sound like Bomo, right? I know a guy.
Yeah. The guy.
I know a guy.
a fantasy bomo technically.
Yeah.
Because like you're conjuring up.
He's
like,
mumbo jumbo. What?
you're conjuring up something. So yeah, like,
And he's make believe. What? You
Same
believe
line of
in-
work, yeah.
yeah.
Placebo effect.
Evoke spirits, yeah.
You believe that you are a barbarian with like huge muscles, then you are a barbarian with
And
huge
then
muscles.
I just apply you with like nice comestibles.
I also want to correct you on something. It was not Gatorade. It was Mountain Dew.
Mountain Dew, okay.
Yeah.
Gatorade is still better.
Gatorade is still better, but Gatorade implies that I did any actual kind of physical work. Mountain Dew fit me a little bit more.
Yeah.
Sure.
Also, I don't think I was barbarian. I think I was always either dwarf or some.
Wait. So Wayne and I, we both played a D&D game with our friends, with Shao being the game master. So you guess which race, like which mythical beings are. Or we could be humans also, our characters were. I remember what mine was.
I don't remember.
Yours was big, like yours later.
I remember yours.
Yeah.
You remember mine, right?
So
Okay,
so
good.
put it in the comments and let us know. Yeah. Then we'll get back to that.
Okay. Wait. Chop. Okay. See, now I will lead into the horror side. Okay. I only sidetrack for a little bit because I want to get through my question first, because he talked about like the different kind of people that I also want to know. I say D&D a lot, but like really like, we're talking about tabletop games in general. So I want to like steer clear from the let's focus on the Mountain Dew. Let's focus on the A&W root beer. Okay.
The small craft brews.
The small craft brews.
Sure.
I mean, if we're still using the soda thing as a tangent, it could go a lot of different directions. But bring back to us a bit. Are there any tabletop games that you would recommend for people who like Southeast Asian horror?
Southeast Asian horror. Like I guess I'll broaden a little bit to talk about Asian horror, then back to Southeast Asian horror a bit. So, acquaintance of mine, I think her family was from Hong Kong, moved to Canada. Like their name is Banana lah. So what an excellent Cantonese tradition. Yeah. Her name is Banana Chan. So she co-wrote this thing with another game creator called Sen Fong Lim. So another cool thing for me is that in the international scene, seeing a lot of like Hokkien names and Canto names and Chinese names show up, like Tans and Lims and all suddenly inside there. So like, because for a long time Chinese names will be, if they were there, you'd be like very you won't see a lot of this dialect style names, right?
Yeah,
but her game is called Jiang Si, so literally about that. Yeah. So, and it's about it's a little bit like I guess like everything everywhere all at once kind of vibe, because it's about migrants who go to America, and then in like I think the 1900s or something, during that kind of like that. When a lot of Chinese moved to America, right? Yeah. Then so like a group of people, they went there and then they end up there's a family curse of a 僵尸 curse following them. So through the game, the migrants who are just trying to run mom and pop stores or something, right, in a very kind of like a more racist period of American history, right, end up having to also deal with becoming or dealing with 僵尸 curses around them. So that's quite fun. And apparently the character sheet, which is the kind of piece of paper you use to play these games, they kind of like made it kind of look a little bit like the fulus, the yellow paper, the spirit paper. And as your character transforms, you have to tear it up and disappear. So there's a lot of things that we've taken from the practices of the occult, right? It's basically also the little bits of like theatrical props to kind of like put you into a kind of mood. So that's one thing that I think is winning, is one some. Like for us in the role-playing game scene, the version of the Academy Awards is called the Annie Awards, or the Annies. So that one is kind of nominated and winning. So that one is like, I haven't played it yet, but I followed its creation. It's called 僵尸. You can probably find it on the 僵尸, blood on the banquet hall, or blood on the dining hall or something.
So if you want to watch us play that game, let us know.
Yeah. Like, and then
I mean, we've got a lot of games to play.
So it's just called 僵尸.
僵尸, yeah. It's
really
really
blood
about
on the.
That's like after the colon.
Okay.
Right? Like that's a suffix. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And then other games that may be interesting is that there's of course this game that's moving. That's Asian American kind of horror. And then in Southeast Asia, a lot of my we have this like joke in Southeast Asia game horror, which is, the in like American media, people be like, there's cottagecore, right? The cottagecore aesthetic. Then everyone is like, you do cottagecore in Southeast Asia, kampong core, right? You're just 2 steps away from HANTU core already. And the 2 steps are not yours. True. They are someone else's. True. So kind of like the thing is, for us, I think, especially in Southeast Asia, like a lot of the people that I know who work in RPGs all have exciting we are HANTU style stories, and a lot of them have perhaps maybe kind of reflecting our country's more recent, very fast modernization periods, right? So people who like, there was actually one of my relatives also used to be one of the people who talk to trees. So you want to chop down trees, you need to ask him, is it okay to go? They're very specialized jobs basically, right?
Wow.
Especially like old fruit trees, which are known to have in other Southeast Asian societies like our Miss P to have protective spirits with them, right? Yeah, then so kind of like, and a lot of them bring this kind of things over to our role-playing games. So it's a bit like, like those Thai filmmakers when they do like, not a Thai horror film, but Thai magic realism film, right? It's like, a ghost walks in the room and nobody's scared because it's just part of normal life. Like everyone like, there's a double thing going on. There is no ghost, there is ghost at the same time, right? That's very Asian, I think, for us, right? We can kind of like compartmentalize, right? But then when I work with like my European colleagues or friends, some of them will be like, no, this is superstition, this doesn't exist. So for them it's a lot more like cannot. Here it's kind of like, the darker the room is, the more can. So I think even the role-playing games in Asia, right, that are about spirits and ghosts, right, even though not explicit horror, it's a lot more friendly for horror because the physical universe, the physical laws aren't the primary laws to understand the physics, if that makes sense. Like in D&D, it'll be like, the rules for how to punch someone, how to carry a table are very explicit written. So the physics of the world allows you to, carry a table, we know how to do it. But then there isn't rules for discussing how to talk to a ghost, for example. So when I wrote some monsters for I'm talking about Pepsi, the Pathfinder is kind of like the D&D second, kind of like D&D's biggest competitor of sorts, right? So they said, can you make 僵尸 as well last time? And I said, okay, sure. So I make 僵尸 for them. And the 僵尸ended up creating is like if you throw eggs at them, they will run away. Because in some old stories and some films, eggs contain a lot of life force, right? So the 僵尸 gets, there's explosions.
Hand grenades.
They're basically hand grenades in old
But you need
films,
to do an incantation on them.
And
then you throw, then you
and then if you get bitten by them, then you need to run on glutinous rice for a while, or put like sticky rice to kind of like suck the energy out, because rice has like the chi to do it. So I put all that in and I didn't give much of a context. So I'm hoping that this is my... I give a bit of context, but it's just like one of those like countryside things. So like it's got to the point that I read Reddit, right? That someone was like, wow, the 僵尸 are hard to kill, man. I don't carry rice around with me, but I think I should now. Then later I put in such that if you take a handbell, you swing and do incantation, the jiasu will follow you. So then people are like, okay, let's bring a bell. So somewhere in fantasy RPG universe, people are beginning to understand a bit more about our weird, secret folklore that probably come down through some cultural mutation that we're not aware of, right? And put it inside there. Yeah. So it's a lot more authors are coming in to do this kind of things.
That's really cool. Yeah.
Last time would be like people like, running water. People know about running water. They know about garlic. They know about, for example, can't enter a house if you're not invited. The 2 handfuls of dirt kind of thing for vampires, right? Then now people are more familiar with, there's some Indian vampires that drink what's the thing known as? Drink gallbladder fluid or something. And just like, they kind of like, wow, okay, that sounds very painful. like plenary gland vampire drinking things. Kind of like, wow, that sounds very painful as well. But I'm very glad that now basically a lot of people are bringing in the stories to kind of like put in and kind of immortalize them a little bit in this. Because museums and stuff sometimes don't do a very good job of categorizing this. Yeah.
I really wish I could see the face of the guy who told him, when you first told him, like,
bring rice,
bring rice, but then you want to carry the bell, then they can follow you. Then I like to believe it was like, huh? Then,
I mean,
has anybody ever asked you to do games specific with certain creatures
kind of things? Sometimes, yes. So like for example, I get a lot of I guess for the American, Western, European audience, when they see Southeast Asia, they mostly interpret it through, depending on which colonial empire they used to be. Like for example, like a lot of my French classmate friends in the past would be mostly interested in what was French Indochina and Vietnam and Laos, and in the Khmer places as well. Then the Americans with their mostly through the interest in the Philippines and Vietnam also kind of interpret everything through that. Then for us as a former British colony and kind of on the butt crack between 2 warring empires of the two very powerful maritime empires to the north and to the south, right? So it's kind of like it's like basically the reason that like a lot of people were like, oh, okay, so what do you do? What part of Southeast Asia are you in? Are you from here, there, there? Actually, no, we are. Our stories are quite different because we're on a different end, right? So sometimes people will ask, can you make stories about Singapore horror, for example? Then Singapore horror becomes a little bit hard to put in because what exactly is Singapore horror, right? Like some people will be like, Singapore horror will be like long trekking shots of HDB corridors. Very, very exotic to people who don't stay HDBs. It's amazing that people who don't stay HDBs love this kind of trekking shot. People are like, my house okay, yeah, you know what I mean? So it's kind of like sometimes I do have people asking, can you make like things specifically about urban Asian horror? And I think that's something that in the market a lot of people are like, for J horror is popular, Thai horror is popular, and I've seen people, creators from those countries, sadly untranslated into English, Thai and Japanese RPGs, evoking that kind of things. Like I played one badly translated Japanese RPG where all people on the bus and then something happened on the bus and the expressway. You know, the kind of format for J-horror movie.
Out of the world kind of
out of the
style,
world kind of thing. Then later got somebody like, the last seat got someone. That kind of style. Right?
like Silent Hill.
Yeah, correct. Yeah. Then so really like, people, I think like the market for horror is huge, right?
Yeah.
And role-playing games is interesting connecting back to it because a lot of people play role-playing as power fantasies to be big hawking. I'm Trogdor. Yeah. But then like at the same time you need to be kind of like, hi, there's a scary thing. So sometimes a lot more people are happy with it now because of things like, for example, the Bruce Campbell's return in the recent Evil Dead, right? Yeah. So which combines horror, action, and humor at the same time. Basically, it's not even Bruce Campbell anymore. I think that show is basically just a Xena series redone. It's the Prince of Thieves. That's
pretty much it.
Yeah. So, but then like, how do you combine horror, which is like disempowering, and heroic fantasy, which is superpower? So a lot of the horror games that I do end up kind of like have to be a bit longer to kind of allow people in. Then kind of stuff.
Yeah, I think sounds about right because horror there's a lot of like
the build up
point in pacing and the origins. You need people to understand like how to kill this. You need to have you need to have that like if you imagine you meet a 僵尸 and as an orc you get beaten by a 僵尸 what would you turn into an orc 僵尸
ox
hopping orc
Then like it's also kind of like really a lot of all the recent terrifying Korean style like shows which you watch, then halfway through realize that actually there's a feud between two supernatural creatures. Like you thought there was just one monster, but actually there's two, and one was actually nicer, but then it was everybody, because it's the obvious ghost, so it was like that's the asshole. Then actually the real asshole was the one that was like more socially acceptable, right? Yeah. So like to tell the kind of excellent stories, you need to move from countryside to city, then build in historical
Takes
trauma. Well, takes a while.
Takes a while. Yeah.
Takes a
while. Yeah.
Historical trauma also. Wow.
Yeah.
The one confirm got long game.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I mean, okay lah. While you look at the comments, I also gonna continue conversation because that's the thing. I've seen like horror tabletop games before. Like they got quite a few Lovecraft ones.
Lovecraft is a big estate.
Yeah, so I figured like they will have Japanese ones. I didn't.
In Japan, Lovecraft. Basically, people say D&D in worldwide. In Japan, they don't say D&D. It's kind of like Japan. People say COC, which is called Cthulhu. Called Cthulhu is the market brand. It's kind of like what's that? Mr. Donut is the top donut in Japan brand, right? Then Dunkin' not elsewhere, right? So it's like kind of the role reversal. Yeah.
Let's get into some comments.
I love Mr. Donut. Sorry.
Okay, so Calvin is saying the newest episode of Ghostmates kind of give Miss P character development. Like she can be kind as well. So that particular Miss P, yes. I'm not sure about her other sisters.
Horrors and stuff, right?
Yeah. Let's see who you meet lah. Some of them obviously gonna be not nice.
So Melly is asking on the same spoopy note, school horror stories later. Do we have school horror stories? Maybe.
I feel like I've got.
Okay.
But I feel like the school horror stories that I know, like, just because it sounds like it's from my school, somebody will go, "Oh, hey, that was my school." So, like, they're very similar. Like all the school horror stories that I know, like somebody saw something.
The awkward protection of personal information. Oh, you mean your school? No, I can't tell you which school.
That's convenient. That's convenient.
Yeah.
So the WSA is saying that Miss P is like McDonald's of HANTUs. Everyone knows it, and it's usually the first HANTU that comes to mind.
Brand recognition.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you were to further down it, like, I mean, for Singapore's context, is Miss P is the McSpicy.
Yeah, lah. She's Miss PR. Yeah, no, that's I definitely agree with that also because like.
Then Jiangshi is what? Mala.
No, Jiangshi would be.
It's also as nice, but you don't really eat it on special occasions.
I feel like Jiangshi has. Jiangshi. Okay, Miss. No, now I'm going to deep dive a bit. Miss P is the McSpicy.
Yeah.
Jiangshi is Big Mac.
Why?
Because internationally it's more well known, but in Southeast Asia, everybody knows Miss P.
Wow, nice analogy. Nice analogy.
Like, I was at some film festival with a friend, and then with a Japanese friend watching shows, right? Then out of nowhere, I think we were watching The Maid, you know, like that.
The
Singaporean one. So when the coffin came out, right? Then I went toilet. Then he messaged me. He said, "Hey bro, come back lah." I'm damn scared one. You know. I say what? You say this one what like maid story? Then got coffin. Then later got kyonshi come out because it's Japanese. Then Japanese called jiangshi kyonshi, right? They say got kyonshi. I scared of kyonshi one, you know, green color. Then like what kind of trauma happened to you as a kid in Japan? They said his parents made him watch all the fucking Chinese vampire jiangshi movies, right? So the thing that this Japanese dude is most scared of, it's not J horror, but it's fucking 1980s kyonshi. Yeah, then that's why I had to go back and then it's like okay, so right, okay, then because the movie The Maid also has like there's a Chinese opera story behind it as well. So when I saw all the costumes, he just triggered all his fears and then boom boom boom.
Oh, your friend got good parents.
Yeah. Great parents, like great movie choices. Mr. Vampire series is like one of my favorites. But I mean, like, but their junctions are weak. Like
wait, whose junctions are weak? Is the vampire?
No, all the junctions they follow the same. You know how do you get rid of? Like, how do you like evade them? You just stop breathing.
Yeah, it's a logistics service.
Yeah, you just stop serving. You just stop breathing. You spill like blood at them, and then they will get damaged. They can hop. So if you like climb over a second story and then you can evade them. There's like a lot of
Chinese
stupid
houses,
ways to evade them.
The Chinese houses, the floor for the
they have a latch.
threshold have a latch so that when they hop they'll trip.
Yeah. That's one of the no, legit.
I know.
No.
Also, the thought of many of them just falling over.
It's part of the design. I went back to like China to one of my Chinese relatives, right? The house they have that. I almost fell a few times.
I was just so in Taiwan now, apparently in Tainan, right? There's in one of the museums there's actually a Jiangshi exhibition, and it was
wow.
You can probably check it out later for anyone who can look for Tainan Jiangshi exhibition, right?
Tainan Jiangshi
And,
exhibition.
I think 2 years ago, news came out to me that there was a guy somewhere in China who wanted to take leave, right, because he had to go back to the annual Gangshi competition. So Gangshi means moving corpses, because Jiangshi started as a way to transport corpses. So you get a friendly necromancer to like, hey, you know, my bro died in province A, but I live in province Z. Transporting it quite hard, so it's like, hey, where did you get the guy to walk? Then later the guy will necromancy the guys to walk home. Right? Then so basically this guy's like, I need to go back to my village to represent my village in the annual necromancy body summoning competition, right? Then his boss say, very well, I will give you, but you must show me documentation. So apparently some document paper were produced, and the boss said, this paper alright. And so sign off on this guy, giving him leave, right, to go back to the village and to be the provincial corpse summoner, is it? So when I talk about Asian things of horror, for us to be like, yeah, we could believe it. It's totally normal.
Is this day and age?
This I saw it on Weibo 2 years ago.
Come on, you cannot make a corpse move, lah, walao eh.
Yeah, so I'm pretty sure behind the scenes.
No.
I mean,
Okay, I'm sorry, you're missing the obvious part. Make the corpse move is one thing. There's a competition.
Yeah, there's a competition.
That's the part that I'm like, wait, what? Competition?
Yeah, so it's like weird.
you know what? You know Jiangshi in the Mandarin, it literally translates to Steve corpse.
Yeah.
So like, how are you gonna make them competition?
Okay,
the hell?
I have questions.
We'll go into Chinese metaphysics later.
We'll go to Chinese metaphysics later, but I have questions. And if anybody can answer me these questions, I'll be very grateful. How do you win?
Huh?
How do you win the competition?
You hop the most.
Hop the most, or you get them up the fastest?
No,
you under obstacle course or something.
You control the most. You control the most cops.
Like outward bound for.
Hellbound.
My zombies can jump 3 inches. Yours can only jump 2 inches. Yeah.
Okay. At least
Helicopter parents. Our early tuition cram school for making you jump corpses has paid off.
At least you were thinking of outbound school. I was thinking of something far more disrespectful, which is like, like the dog show like that lah. Then they make the dog jump too
okay.
Yeah, like they corpses lah.
Yeah. And they are animated by a terrestrial animal,
Yeah, so if anybody can tell me, like, for real, what
I'll find the thing and send it to you.
Yeah.
Okay,
Send it to us.
because I really want
the screen cap.
I really want to know how you win that. Not like I want to take part or anything lah, but I just want to know what's the logistics of it. Like,
So
is there different like criteria? Like, must race faster?
So Anthony is saying like a zombie marathon.
Yeah.
hop home. Yeah. I mean, you could just address some more comments before we move on. So Calvin is asking, on the topic of gaming, what are your favorite horror games?
Oh, okay.
I guess it can be addressed to us also, because we never really talked about it also. So like, you first, Shao.
Okay. Any kind of games or role-playing games or
I think any
video
lah.
games or
Anything.
I guess let me see. I have a fondness for watching games more than playing them. Mostly because also the period of time that a lot of the horror games that stick in my mind tended to be machines that I didn't own, right? But I think like one game that stuck in my mind a lot that I didn't play, but I think watching people play and watching videos and like being a sleepless for a few weeks later. I think it's called Siren or something. Then Blood Siren or something. It's
Siren,
an PS2 J horror style game about. Essentially, it's about mermaids to kind of put on, because there's a whole mermaid myth in a lot of Asian societies about a fish comes up to the sea, it looks a lot like a human, and then
It's not human.
Someone eats it, or someone decides to keep it there. I mean, the Ring storyline kind of follows that as well, right?
Yep.
Then they get immortality from it, and then they gain powers from it, and then the sea wants revenge for eating its children, basically, and then gets into the Cthulhu-ish style, but flavored with rural Asian horror. So usually, to me, it hits a lot harder, and there's a lot of scenes of people getting possessed by this wasting illness that turns them into jiangshi, like running fish things, right? Then kind of like, and then that I think like that's one of the things that visually and kind of sticks in my head, alongside Silent Hill as well. But those are two very different flavors.
For sure.
We'll go by McDonald's again. We'll go different burgers again, right?
Yeah, no, that one is more like Jack's Place and then
no, the Hans.
No, what? Not Hans. That one's like, but it's such a different flavor. It's more like Jack's Place and then roast pork rice.
Yeah. Because Silent Hill is like, it's so David Lynchy, it's so like a Japanese enthusiastic fanboyism of American Twin Peaks kind of style, right? Which is quite interesting, right? Yep. It's like, there's that weird love for it, yeah. And then of course there's the more recent ones is of course like the PT, the Silent Hills trailer, right, done by Kojima, that is now no longer available anymore. Yeah, that one was also like the infinite loop of the corridor. I played it when I was visiting my friend's place in Santa Monica. She said, "Hey, you play this?" Then I just downloaded. I said, "Okay lah." 3 hours later, what do you do to yourself? Hey, you go toilet first. No, you go. Nobody there to leave the room because there's a long corridor.
I'm very glad we're not recording this in our old studio. Which is at Golden Mile.
Oh, okay. That one has many interesting shop fronts.
Yes.
Yeah.
The shop fronts also, they went different.
All the nice little amulets and nice things. Yeah.
Yep.
The walk to the toilet.
Yeah, walk to the toilet. Yes.
Not the long
fun.
walk. Yeah.
Yes.
Long corridor.
Not fun at all.
Yeah, I don't miss that. Yeah.
You
first.
Yeah, I like how you say me first because my answer gonna be very short. I cannot think of one. Because I've like my video game knowledge is like Sonic the Hedgehog. Wow, Sonic and Knuckles. That's about as far as it goes. Maybe Tony Hawk Pro Skater. When I die in Tony Hawk Pro Skater, that one quite horrifying to me.
Okay lah, you can, because now we're doing the ghost law thing. You can say
ghost law. Ghost law. Ghost law. Ghost law.
See how I saved you.
I like the save.
See how I saved you.
I was trying to think whether like I would have ended it on ghost law.
Like the jiangshi there jumping at you. Like, remember me as you.
Now, because of today's episode, right, then I will learn. Then next time you fight in ghost law, right, I'll like, hey, why don't you try this? Yeah. Then you
Yeah.
Ghost law. Yes, ghost law.
Yeah. For me, it's definitely Resident Evil, the series, the entirety of the series. But like the recent ones, they are not that scary. They're mostly action,
punching zombies.
Yeah, like you can punch a boulder. Yes. But like
Chris,
I think Resident Evil Village is really good. Like it's horrifying at some points. And the original Resident Evil 2, which is quite scary. The music is like fantastic.
Yeah, two Raccoon City one kind of like that scarred me as a kid, man.
Bro. the original one, right? The 90s one, right? That one.
The joggers on the street and then the zombie fight. Then I'm just like, the societal breakdown.
Yep.
Wow, I was scarred as a kid, man.
Yeah, I played it as a kid as well. I was like, why am I playing this? Yeah, my dad showed me that game also.
You showed me a game once where you're a mortician. And then creepy stuff is happening in the mall.
If you guys can know what game is he talking about, then I will play it with him. But I'll be scared. It's damn scary. It's like Silent PT, right? But like as a mortician.
Okay, wow.
What was it called?
I don't know what was it called, but it was, you basically are a mortician and then like things start happening.
Because I really like that one because it's not like you said, like it's not like punch zombie one.
Yeah.
But it's like,
I know.
In the corner of your eye, you see like,
bro,
why is the window suddenly open?
Wait till we get to the game where we played the Hong Kong one, the one set in the Kowloon City.
Yeah.
That one also has that vibe, dude. Like that is scary. That is like really scary.
Yeah.
So
stuff like that lah. Like I would lah, but I probably wouldn't lah. But I will watch gameplay of it. It looks like something I'll watch.
So Will is asking if our characters in D&D were orc or halfling. And was I a halfling?
I don't think you were.
No, right?
You're not
No.
Yeah.
Wrong.
Yeah.
He was not an orc, right?
I was definitely not.
He was definitely not.
Orc adjacent.
Yeah. Okay, orc adjacent. So nice try. Oh, hi Josh. Josh say, your stream a game like Dread also can. Walao.
Dread.
Straight away go to Dread. Walao. Dread is the one,
the Jenga one.
The one with the Kuntilanak Lanak. I think it's Kuntilanak. Yeah, I think it was. Yeah. Was it Miss P?
It was the Kuntilanak that I know which one you're talking about.
Yeah. It's the Indonesian one. I think so. Yeah. Anthony says hi, Shao.
Hello.
Yeah. So is it you guys are like terrible, man. Like ask us to play like scary games on stream. So I cannot cut out my screams.
You started this.
Yeah, Silent Hill on stream.
Okay. Like to make life, I'd like to add some more games that you can.
Sure.
There's this game called Fishing Vacation. Okay, there's like it looks like this is this Game Boy aesthetic. It's
horror. It's horror.
So it's about you. There's a place with excellent fishing, and then you haven't gone in ages, and then your friend says, "My uncle invites us for a rural fishing trip, and we know we shouldn't go, but you go anyway." And it's an excellent fishing simulator, and it's
Fishing Vacation. That's what it's called.
Fishing Vacation, and then because of the Game Boy style graphics, the uncanny valley for all things there gets quite terrifying. It references Inuit, Native American fishing mythology. So it's like a lot of again that rural cottagecore, old
like
gods kind of vibe.
Skinwalker Ranch kind of vibes.
Those kind of things are terrifying. Yeah.
You know the back room thing. There's this whole back rooms thing.
Yeah.
Like if they start making games about back rooms, it's basically VHS style, first person point of view. And it's back room. They have those creepy 90s music, like more music, but it's all empty.
Yeah. It's
like part of the SPC now. Like it's terrifying. Imagine walking there in VR. Jeez. You can't sleep, man.
Actually, that reminds me, like talking about the older graphics style thing. There's that, and nobody spoiled this for me because like I've been told to play this game, and I actually do want to play it. Can't remember the full. I remember it's Doki.
Oh, Literature Club. Yeah, correct.
That's what it is.
A
right?
visual novel style.
Yeah. So I want to play that just because it's been hyped up for me. Where it's like it's one thing that you think it is, and then after the more you keep playing,
it's messed up.
Yeah. I don't like nobody spoiled it for me.
There's the visual novel game that we want to play by candlelight.
Which one's that one?
You can play that.
Which one's that one?
The 7-month one.
Oh yeah. I want to play that.
Is that a Taiwanese one?
No, it's Malaysian.
Malaysian one, right?
Yeah.
Oh, I know.
You know which one I'm talking about, the indie one.
Yes, that one I want to play. Yeah.
So we got a lot. We have a lot of lists. So okay, let's hurry up. Josh is saying like, dude,
like you're like, hurry up, go.
Because we got.
I don't know what to do.
Josh is like, dude, he's talking about the Jiangshi competition just now, like competition like MasterChef. You got a pantry of spell stuff and an altar.
Yeah.
And then he slammed the table, then the talisman fly.
Will it be like Iron Chef? Then you got what's his name? Mark the.
Mark the Cascos, is it? The secret ingredient today.
No, the Iron Chef of Iron Chef. So you got like the Jiangshi master. Then you got like Abraham Lincoln, the vampire killer. Then you got like all the masters.
Sound like the old anime, right? The Shaman King, right? It's
like, yes, exactly.
Different exorcists of different cultures, right?
Yeah. So okay, Mr. Crocodile said the mortuary assistant. That's the game they're talking about. Damn it.
Figured that one out.
Now we have to play. It's damn scary, dude. That is damn scary.
Now it's your head already,
Yeah, lah. Die, lah.
It's like Tralala.
Yeah. Dead Space. Melly is saying play Dead Space. We're definitely going to play Dead Space, but I'm waiting for the remaster to come out.
Oh, yeah. There's a remaster coming out.
There's a remaster. Like they're redoing the whole physics and stuff.
Dead Space is the one you play an engineer in space, right? Of course. And then there's a mimetic kind of like a terrible thing happening, and then things
zombies
Event Horizon style happening.
Basically alien zombies.
Yeah, alien zombies.
And then everyone dies.
And then you're trying to, because your character's an engineer, scientist kind of person, so you don't really have guns. You have power tools of the far future, and you're using them to dismember space zombies.
Ooh, space screwdriver.
Yeah.
So Melly also mentioned that Malice or 7 PM. That one I've not heard of it, but I will check it out.
Malice
and 7 PM.
Sounds a good name for a game.
Yeah, it does lah.
Last question before we move on. Which Jiangshi movie that are the most memorable to you guys? Huh? Which Jiangshi movie memorable to you, Wayne?
Mr. Vampire, because you keep talking about it.
No. I pass you the DVD. You have yet to return me the DVD.
You say you convert to digital file already.
Original DVD somehow.
Okay, don't worry, it's waiting. It's waiting in my house.
Which one? The one with the rich guy's house?
Mr. Vampire 2.
Okay.
The modern day one.
Yeah. You passed me a few, right?
No, I passed you one only.
I thought you passed me a few Mr. Vampires.
Damn it. You stole my Mr. Vampire series. Okay, go home and look.
Okay.
I like the trashy one.
Which I mean, all of them are trashy.
No, I like the trashiest one that I can remember.
Which one?
Dracula. Dracula shows up in China because his coffin, while he's trying to find Mina Harker, gets Hollander, right? That ends up in China. Then he comes up, then he's like, wow, then all the Taoists cannot fight him because the food don't work, because he's a vampire. So then they have to get the Christian priest, right?
Also, that's the one
5 or no, whatever,
number 5. It's called Vampire versus Vampire. He has like a little vampire with him, right? His assistant.
Yeah. So then later, then what happens is that they have to. So then it becomes a cultural clash because then they get this Catholic priest who cannot fight Jiang Si as well. Because I think he tried to stick the Jiang Si to him, like, what the fuck, you put a stick in my body, bro? Like, choke him. So then later the Taoists and the Christian don't like each other during the backdrop of basically the pre-Boxer rebellion. There's like confrontation, right? Then both end up. And then they finally be able to fight the Master, Jiang Si, and Dracula. Yeah. Dracula is just some dude, the same guy that get to play all the more roles in a cape and bad fangs. Wow, that sucks.
No, and then the best part, right? Actually, there's two, right? There's two of these kind of movies. One is Vampire vs. Vampire. The other one is, I think, Vampire, Mr. Vampire 5 or something. Or the Ultimate Vampire. It's like they have made so much sequels, and it's always the same Taoist master. Until he's passed away. So like the ending, right, is basically the Catholic priest took a cross and then he took his Taoist sword, they combined, it became a lightsaber. And he had like lightsaber sound like and then they started cutting up the vampire. George Lucas would be proud. Lightsaber can kill Jiang Si. And vampires, apparently.
That shit, man.
The one is called Sunlight Saber?
Mine is definitely the first one. The very, very first one that started. Because the atmosphere was like different. I think it was was it 1970s? No,
early 80s, I think.
Early 80s, very close to 70s. So like they shot on film, and like the way they shot was also different. Like if you see the later sequels, right, the style is also different already. It was very atmospheric. It was a very simple story. Basically, a rich man, he dies and he becomes a vampire. He starts killing his own family members because he needs to he needs to kill them lah. And then like these two disciples trying to kill, and then one of the disciples is bewitched by a flower spirit. Then then this master, he has to deal with two shit, and then the other disciple got bitten, so he's turning into a vampire. Has to do the rise, and then he has to jump on the rise, and it rise one. Like it's a lot of things going on, but it's a very simple story. That's why I love it, and it's very atmospheric. Like the scariest scene in that film, right, is when the guy, because the disciple, the reason that he got like bewitched by the spirit, right? Not flower spirit. This is just a normal spirit. It's because he went to the cemetery and he saw a beautiful lady, like her photo. They said, "Oh, so young, then died, then so sad." And the spirit follow him. So he's cycling at night. Then it's like through the forest. Then they have like really like romantic music, but in like old school 1940s kind of music. And then she glides down to his bicycle, and then she's just like, and then she comes from like, like a bunch of ghosts with the whole Chinese wedding thing, so she flies out from that onto the bicycle. That shit is damn creepy. And then they ride, and then the only reason that he never kena like possessed and killed, right, was because there was like a earth deities like statue nearby.
The ecology of various deities.
Brilliance.
I wish the answer I had given, right, the one that would annoy people, right, is like, what's your favorite Jiang Si movie? Then I go, Eddie Murphy and Wes Craven's Vampire in Brooklyn. I say that, then see people are like,
Strangely enough, I remember that movie.
Right.
I remember.
How do I remember that movie?
I don't know how you remember the movie.
It's like Coming to America, but as a vampire, right?
Correct. Yes.
Yeah, that's the one, right?
Yes.
I like to think that Wes Craven actually preached it to Eddie Murphy that way. Coming to America, but with fangs.
I'll do it.
Same story. No Arsenio Hall, but vampire.
Arsenio Hall. Wow, that's the name of it.
And Eddie Murphy's like,
Arsenio Hall
yes.
show.
Yeah. Arsenio Hall made with vampire.
Yeah.
Wesley. What we do in the shadows?
Okay. No other comments, right?
Nope.
No other comments here, right? Okay. Now we shift
Back. Yeah.
No, not just shift back. Shift focus.
Towards horror.
Very different focus. Shao is not only the co-creator of Curious Chimeras. Shao is not only an advocate for tabletop gaming. Shao was also at one point a member of the Singapore Paranormal Investigators.
SPI.
Yes. How? How did that happen?
Yeah.
Okay, so I guess context, right? It's like, well, this one of those like American style horror movies, because it's like those like I was a college student, I needed to do my research. But that's exactly the story. So this is in 2005, 2006. So I was actually at the point of time I was doing my undergraduate thesis, and my training by training, I'm a Southeast Asianist. Discipline-wise, mostly history and anthropology. So I was very interested in how, for example, that couple of years were a lot of exciting things were happening in Malaysia for its there was stories of old ruins being found somewhere in Johor, which were like palaces, right? So the geeky historian side said, "Oh, okay, that's what will we find from there?" And there was also signs of cryptids that were basically being spotted there, lah. So like beings that are not covered by contemporary biology, right? So one of the big stories they have is this thing called orang mawai or a mawas. So basically, it's a large ape-like, Bigfoot-like creature, supposed to be very gentle, retiring. It's the spirit of the forest. And meanwhile, in my genetics and ecology class, then it's like, cannot, because Southeast Asia animals tend to be small, like the bears and the elephants. Southeast are small because jungle very big, and then if they keep langang their head against because they're big, then it's a waste of genetic resources. So this is my Darwin and Wallace moment. Like, cannot. Then me, I was like, but I want to find Bigfoot. So basically, it's kind of like I'm like, all right. There were American film crew people coming all the way from the States and Europe to kind of like look for this, like Bigfoot hunters, because there's a lot of potential glamour, money, and everything. It's a new market as well. Like everybody's kind of look for Mothman and Bigfoot in the States, in the Appalachians forever, and this is a new one, right? So the Malaysian government was quite good at monetizing it. So it's kind of like you had to pay quite a lot of money to go into its parks, right, to look for this, right, which made the project I had originally, which was observing how Europeans and Americans constructed their narrative of Asian spirit, right? Impossible to do because it's out budget. But then the SPI was also wanting to go there. So I was like, Then I just hung around the SPI, and then I became a member of the SPI. And then because the budget was too high for that, so I kind of just hung out with the SPI around Singapore and Indonesia and different things. So I went around with the SPI. I kind of helped out because I was a student then. And I said, I'm doing research on your things. Would you be interested in working together? They said, all right. So I became a nominal member, and then I ended up presenting my research to them a couple of times, and they were just very happy to have, because it's a very shifting leadership. The guy in charge of then, his name I think was Kenny, and he was very very interested in a lot of these things, but it was not by any point of thing a very stable organization at the lower ends. At the inner end, there were a lot of passionate people who drove the thing onwards, but there's a lot of things which is like government people be like, hey, we don't want people to do a tour of like Fort Canning. Then later the SPI, at the point of time, there were people who actually did tours. Like, this is the Bukit Larangan, the Forbidden Hill. This is supposed to be Parameswara Shrine, kind of stuff, right? Which will be quite interesting to, I guess, can't say normies, right? Later we'll get into, but quite intro to the uninitiated. Basically, Singapore's hidden folkloric history, right? To a lot of like the urbanites would be interesting. So I was in with them doing some tours, and I think along the way, kind of helped them out with some research. Pointed out help them with some hypothesis constructions, I think this thing, and then I think it was one of those things which probably made my stay there kind of like my contribution was cleaning up some of the things inside and then doing my own research. So it's kind of really the college student who I wanted to do my paper, so I joined an organization of Ghostbusters or Ghost Hunters.
I like how it originally started because you wanted to observe Westerners observing ghosts.
Yeah.
So it wasn't even about them
giving them names.
I was more interested right now because the SPI, my research that I was doing, was quite interested about how like they managed to negotiate a lot of different perspectives. I think at one of the hauntings that I was present at, then later it was a bit of like, this one is the internal logic of like division of labor was quite fascinating because it's like this is a Malay ghost area, right? So then there are Bomo and the person who has gone to complete the Hajj already, and so therefore a bit more knowledgeable religious rites was like take point lah. Then later the Taoist guys like, I will stay back. You need me carry water whatever for you. Kind of thing. Or this one maybe it's trying to then like the thing. So this CMIO kind of style of like supernatural experience construction was quite interesting to me about how they just like negotiated move around. And when we went to the Malay to a place that had a Malay spirit, then there was very strong like before the day, then the members there, a lot of them like don't take pork, don't take alcohol, don't have the smell of things on you, just a kind of respect kind of stuff lah. So I was quite interested in like this harmonizing and uniquely in a way Southeast Asian, a very Singapore Malaysian kind of thing. Perhaps a lot more in Singapore than there. And then there's also like for me as just a dumbass student, how could I get in so close to them? Was because oh you're from university, you're a student. I look like I speak English, like you look like you speak good. So it's kind of like that's a language of power in Singapore, right? So suddenly it's like I get a lot more leeway than I honestly should have, basically, to work with them. And I was very privileged to be able to work with them.
Did you ever take? Were you ever on point for any of the incidents?
I just move around and follow lah, because and then just observe lah. Because I was also quite. The thing that struck me the most was when we went to I think this place called Pasar Galak. I think that's over in Indonesia. So we took a day trip out lah. Basically, it's so this one basically goes back to 1970s Singapore history. Well, so basically Singapore has a no refugees kind of like policy, right? We've stuck to it forever, right? So during the Vietnam War, there were a lot of Vietnamese refugees and also boat people that kind of just swam out everywhere, right? So they came to Singapore, and then Singapore was unable or unwilling to kind of like, hey, let's not have them. So they kind of just stayed out at sea. And then the Indonesian government, I think, took a lot of Vietnamese folks in, and then they constructed a kind of a concentration area, right, to put all the refugees, a transient holding zone. And the trauma in that place was quite bad because apparently, so like to give the context of it, today it looks very normal. It's like an island, forest, having teh there. But where the site used to be, there's big trees, big banyan trees as well, and then those are culturally significant as well, like the strangler figs, right? So apparently there was a lot of suicides that took place inside there. There was a lot of suicide trees, and I guess for people who went through a lot of trauma, war zones, and being shuffled around on and separated, right? So the place was supposed to have a lot of hauntings. So the SPI said, hey, let's go down there. And what struck me was that essentially it wasn't done as because I follow a few other organizations and check what they did. It was respectfully done. So people brought flowers. People brought a lot of food and flowers. And what was quite cool was that we actually on just chartered small little bus. We went to one of the sites and we were placing flowers everywhere. And in one site we placed a lot of flowers because it was one of those like roadside shrines to the unknown dead lah. But apparently it's a site where a lot of people killed themselves basically. Right. So we put there and then we went down the road, but then the GPS was not correct lah, like as we all know. Then we Hollanded lah, and then we turned back. This was barely a minute, right? The flowers and food and everything was gone, basically. Wow. So it's not even like the way the wild animals would basically take and then I throw away, it's just disappear, right? Then someone was quite spooked at the back. Then this old timer who was with them for a while is like, why so scared? You bring gift already, people take, then you not happy, you want to, like basically, right? So that kind of like quantum ability to simultaneously, there is ghosts and no ghosts, right? Kind of struck me as being interesting. Then after a while, of course, another time we went for fire blessing at basically one of those Tibetan hungry ghosts. Geylang during the Hungry Ghost Festival, a Tibetan ghost feeding festival. So big fires.
It was in Geylang.
Yeah, because there's a lot of, with the Tibet, with the great Tibetan exodus as well, there's a lot of, for example, Tibetan Buddhists you can find in Chinatown, right? So there was a big few, also Aljunied MRT, then there was a big fire, and that's where I kind of like Hungry Ghost, but the more Tibetan style. Then there was a guy who was taking photos and then videos, right? And then he said they heard something, and then whisper, stop. Something like, please don't do this in Chinese. Then he kind of like continued because that was his job, right? And the whole world is full of pinching, basically. A lot of pinchers everywhere, basically. So it's kind of thing in which like they like me observing how they took it in stride. And then like, so it could be a rational thing, like basically, hi, this is psychosomatic or whatever, that kind of stuff. So they were willing to like don't have, but they were willing to like, I want to use scientific reasoning, I want to have hypothesis on one hand, but I want to believe. So it's very Fox Mulder. the Fox Mulder energy very strong. Yeah, that was my experience at the SPI. It was a bit unlike some experiences I had with other folks who went in there. Somewhat disrespectful, like, oh, let's look at this bunch of things here, haha, let's see whether, let's go fuck the place up to see whether it really got thing. I'm not scared of this thing, my ball big kind of thing, which is the much more common energy. I'm not sure whether that's like true now or whatever, but I did feel that like I don't vibe very well with that kind of energy, right? So
it's something that we've also like talked about, like how
I mean, like the whole like both sides of the coin, we are also basically like that. I think I can say that most Singaporeans are like that. Like we will remain scientific until something weird happens. Like whoa. Probably the wind, but let's just be careful.
I'm like this may sound like a joke, but it's actually not a joke. Like when you go to some place, like what was the place in Indonesia called? With
let me tell you, I think it's the Pasar Galak camp. I think.
Okay, so if it's, let's say it's Pasar Galak,
it looks perfectly normal in the day, right?
But that's the thing. Like, okay, so if let's assume that the spirits would be Vietnamese, but then you're in Indonesia, like who takes point on something like that? If you're in a country that is predominantly Indonesian, but then the spirits are probably not Indonesian, like who would take the lead on that one?
I mean, I don't know. I feel very bad as well, because it's like I mean, like for us, grave sites are so important because it's a place where you kind of have your final rest, right?
Yeah.
So if there were spirits that were like not away, not in their home, right, then elsewhere, right, then I guess that's why we have so much like taboos about trying to house the house spirits, right, and like make sure the trauma of the past is taken care of. So it's also like the fact that Indonesia, I think, opened the borders to allow this as a big country, kind of like I think it was very, at least people would have land, I guess.
Yeah, a place to rest,
right? Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Huh.
I mean, that's interesting because normally when you look at all these supernatural cases, right, it's not like it's usually one, but this is like a lot.
It's a mass trauma event.
But like when you were there, did you feel like the energy? Because like when you visit a place of trauma, you can feel the energy.
Yeah, like this one, it felt like, I mean, like, because I've gone to a few like dark tourist places for research, right? Like, you know, like for example, the killing fields, this kind of places, right?
Yep.
So it always has that kind of like, you know, there's just usually some places feel more terrifying than others. Like for example, a lot of places that I won't name, but like there's some places we just feel a bit like the layers of life have kind of like grown over it, kind of vibe, and then. So it felt like there was a presence and things, but then wasn't necessarily hostile feeling kind of thing. Yeah. I did spend quite a few years of my life working in this place known as the Buddhist Library. It's a place in Geylang, which is primarily a Theravada Buddhist meditation place as well as a library, and it's housed by monks. Sometimes at night during Hungry Ghost Festival, people come in and then give me literally envelopes of cash and say, I want to give this in dedication to the dead lah. Then later I'm like, okay. Then the guy looks at me, haunted eyes, says, can you feel them? They are behind me. Then the words he used is 小人 lah, which is, I guess, for the Cantonese magic would be the small spirits that you hack someone that follows you, are curse energy, right? So he basically was trying to get a cleansing from me, but I'm not ordained. I'm Bob, I'm not a monk. So like, and then he looked at me like, can you cleanse that? I said, sorry, I can't. And of course, I'm not sure whether even the money was money laundering or not, because like mysterious piles of unmarked cash, right, coming into this, right? But I just like, and then, but it's not the one-off thing, because I see a lot of haunted, like, you know, in the certain part of the night, you see a lot of haunted people come in, the kind of the people that society. Let's not look at them. They smell and whatever. Then they show up. You work in a quasi-religious place, you see a lot of like people asking for healing, asking for help, asking for looking at you as though like you could possibly help them because you look like maybe you are the Mr. Vampire Apprentice. You know, like the kind of constructions they bring into you. Yeah,
that's interesting.
Yeah.
I mean, jumping back to your time at SPI, there's a question. Calvin is asking, what is your scariest experience during SPI?
He stole my next question.
He stole it.
So there was a lady who was I think she had visions, like she had like basically she kept seeing things and stuff, and she's been seeing a therapist for a while. And then this was the early 2000s, so therapy still is, but there's still a lot of focus on hi, there's like, are you having an episode or something kind of thing, right? So I think she went to the SPI because she was like, on one hand, wanting to surround herself with people who would be more willing to listen to her narrative, like, because she wasn't like, I'm seeing ghosts. She didn't say the word ghost. She said, I feel I'm seeing things, And so people that were from a modern psych background would be like, no, you're enabling her delusions, and like, there's a schizotypal personality disorder, whatever, ruminations, you don't feed her. But then people were there like, oh, okay, I can tell us and we won't judge. So she seemed to relax a lot. But there's one night where she, like, I think in Chinatown, like, there was a gathering, and then she just stared behind us. And then she looked really terrified. And then suddenly the air kind of changed. And then there was a random dog bark, right? Then later we're like, okay, I think it's time to... the electric threw in the air, right? It's like, let's time to
was
get out.
Was it in the house?
It's not. It was in the... Basically near streets. But then like the area is quite near the death house places as well.
Segolena.
Yeah, so quite near those places because we were actually not even there. We were just walking past because they finished one gathering, you see.
Right.
Then she just stared down the alleyway, that kind of
And she
thing.
saw.
Then there was a dog bark. Then my logical reptile brain is like, but here no dog one. What? But I heard it, a dog bark, that kind of thing. And then like there was a bit of a whine, and then like maybe it's, and then like everyone's like just like walk faster. Yeah, basically it's usually this kind of things that are the scary things, which is the small things rather than the big things. Because the big things usually, the longer you drag there, when you start sweating and then you start getting nervous, but then after all you just like, real not real, wow, my internet reception only 1 bar, like, and then later like, can I get the last bus home? This kind of, the mundanity of these things comes in, then the ghostness, right, has to jostle with other things for attention.
So one could say that she has the sight lah. She can see lah.
Probably. Yeah.
But there was no like basically closure to that lah.
No closure. Like I have scary experiences outside SPA then.
So she's just living with it lah. Basically.
Living with it, yeah. And then I think like she kind of like got very like I mean things that organizations like this provide a very strong. I mean, I imagine let's say like I want to. Like, like a Katong shopping center, there's this like exorcist there, right?
Yeah.
The Ghostbusters, right? Basically.
Yeah.
It's like, like, so like people, it's like a shop front is a good location by the bus stop where you can see, right? Just like, like people who have like, you can't actually articulate this like, hey, I have a problem with something, that kind of thing. The people like, no, like you're delusional, whatever, right? So organizations like this, can kind of serve as a good filtering point for someone's stories to be heard. Now, whether that's always good or not, because somebody could be fleecing them, manipulating them, gaslighting them further to bad things, right? Is I guess it's up to things, right? But it's definitely like I could see that her eyes were the eyes of somebody who was looking for both sympathy and empathy, as well as really haunted by something that was scared of herself, basically scared of things around her. Yeah.
So it's almost like the community kind of
a,
just being in a community kind of helped a little bit.
Like I've seen those eyes with my own also. It's quite sad lah.
Yeah.
It's sad, but at the same time it's scary being around there.
Yeah.
Right. Then there are moments where the air changes, then you're like, shit.
Like, literally when you said like she's looked past you all, then suddenly I feel my like
wish we will have our own story of that soon. But you mentioned like that you have like even scarier stories.
Oh yeah.
I presume your own.
Yeah, my own.
Okay, so please share.
So back to my college kid background, right?
Sure.
So it's like I spent this like later I get a cease and desist from NUS. But the NUS is quite famous for being quite friendly to having a lot of things because there's so much forest, and it used to be a sea nomad.
Yep.
Okay,
sea gypsy.
You said it's friendly lah. So
yeah, I like so. I'm friendly.
That's a compliment.
I'm friendly.
Sure.
So basically, I used my old office used to be in this building, which has since been relocated to the new swankier building lah. So when I was a student and when I was working there for a while, in the older building, we also. For my department, Southeast Asia Studies department, a lot of things that we do is we work with artifacts as well. So, like, we get a bit blasé because we're like, artifacts rumors in there. Okay, that's an old spear probably belonging to some ancient king. Then there's a skeleton somewhere inside there. So it's kind of like a lot of times we work with the dead quite closely in kind of like so like we tend to be both blasé as well as reverential, you know, the kind of professional reverence, like don't fuck with the object, and also kind of like don't be messy and things, but also blasé, like you hear noises like, hey, can you shut the fuck up, man? So it's like that kind of weird vibe that maybe I think like maybe people, colleagues and like people in morticians, like in mortuaries and stuff, we have lah. So I tend to stay over a lot last time I was working, mostly because I stay in a very far away place from the school, so it's just more efficient for me to stay late or stay over. So and I stay over often by myself, and people will look at me like, are you a numbskull lah? Because it's supposed to be like, you know, haunted, right, the area. Yeah. I'm just like, yeah, but you know, I tend to, whenever I wake up in the morning, I will basically pour water by the grass in the fields, right, to feed the grass, right, last time, right, and then also kind of like just leave food in places, right. So I guess I'm kind of like, I'm Gucci with the local community, yeah. So it's like the genius loci, right, the spirits of place. Usually I don't feel any bad vibes about it. I'll be like, oh yeah, sit down, and then I feel inspired to do art and make games today because I pour all the water there. So I guess it's also a very Asian thing. I mean, even the Buddha did this, right? Like Mara, the king of demons, come and say, you slacker, you just sit here so much. You think you name big shit, man? Is there anyone you made life better? This is the abridged version of Buddha's life, right? The Buddha say, no, okay, I got pour water on the ground, okay? Then the earth goddess come out, yeah, I got pour water, that's my hair wet, and then the flood come out, and then the demon fucked off, okay? That's the abridged version of
pretty much
how the Buddha reached enlightenment. Okay, so, but basically it's kind of like, I've always been, last time lah, like, you know, I've been more remiss in my taking care of the earth around me. Right? I used to basically give a lot more food and drink around me and treat things with respect, right? So maybe I should go back to that. So I kind of like have no worry of the, I guess, the local grass gods, I guess, you know, the small things around, right? But then like at night, what happened is I'll hear sounds, running sounds outside. So I'm on the 6th floor, and it's totally dark, and my office, there's a lot of shrines in there because we're like exchange students. So they bring in a lot of like small things from their home to kind of like remind them of home. So you may have a Thai spirit house, you may have like the Santo Nino, the baby Jesus from the Philippines there, the kind of thing. So it's kind of like I'm kind of protected by a lot of different
But describe the office. Is it like a cubicle kind of?
It's basically one of those older style offices, so they have L-shaped basically, and then it's basically desk. In the middle is like big sofas, library, kind of like big setup. The room is approximately maybe, I guess, like maybe 15 meters to 20 meters, that kind of place. So it's basically kind of like a grad room of sorts, right? Then next to it is another kind of like artifact storage room. It's locked. You don't go in there unless you kind of like going there to do work lah. Yeah. So late at night, I hear a lot of running.
Outside
lah.
Okay.
Then I hear a lot of laughing. I'm just like, okay, is it my sleep apnea waking up? Then I'm just like, no, my nose is not dry, my throat is not dry, so it's not a snoring dream half state lah. Yeah. I just like, okay, I need to go pee. Then the walk outside damn long. Then it's also a motion detector kind of light. So I'll go outside, then the lights are totally dark. So if there was a bunch of asshole kids in 3 a.m. in the morning running around, then there'll be light lah. So I'm just like, then the lights dung, then I can go down. I'm just like, I just sit kind of annoyed, like, you know, like I didn't say anything first. I went to pee, wash my face, came back, go inside there, and tried to sleep again. And then after a while, the same sounds are basically. Then I just wake up and I said, excuse me, I also got no offense to you. Like the very Chinese. I also never offend you. This is a place for studying, you know. You want to play, can play elsewhere. Okay, maybe not play lah, okay. I also need to do things. How will you feel if I disturb you? Then no worry. Okay, then later, so that's not really creepy, but I thought people that, wow, that's fucking creepy. Then I just like mildly annoying. Okay, so
I like how you unteed the spirits.
Yeah.
So like,
You did the whole excuse me,
boy.
Not say I want to say, but still. Then it was good they say auntie because a few months after that, an auntie showed up. Okay, this was middle of the night again. I barely don't learn my son because I still stay there. And the middle of the night there was we went out to the washroom, and then there was an auntie in Samfu, the peasant blouse, and carrying a blue plastic bag with like something inside there, and quite old timey clothes. Then I'm just like, okay, there's a lot of landed property around NUS, so maybe this lady decided to at 3 a.m. in the morning walk out of her house, go to a random lift and take upstairs, and then hang around inside and meal around. The lights were on then. Not sure whether they're on because she was there. she kind of, I don't remember walking there, light on, then she was there. So it's kind of like, wow, okay, hi.
Wait, so she's at the toilet.
Not in the toilet. She's outside so my toilet is actually outside my main office. The kind of like, the viewing, welcome to the procession reception area. Just hanging around, milling around the reception area, see? Which is of course a very liminal space, like swinging around. Then she looked at me. Then I said, "Hey, hi, hello, auntie. Haven't seen you around." Then having a normal conversation. Then later my friends were like, "Wow, don't talk there." Then I said like, "Oh, where is this place?" I said, "Oh, this one is school. School. Oh." Then later she looked very confused and she said, I trying to go home. I said, "Oh, where's the house?" "Oh, somewhere downstairs." There. Then later my reptile brain is like, "Run, fuckface, run." Then my ape genes like, "My community must help fellow ape together strong." So it's like monkey together strong. So auntie, downstairs quite far from where? Near the nasi lemak place, is it? Downstairs is downstairs. Then the reptile. So kind of like then I like, oh, you remember
in Mandarin, right?
Yeah, in Mandarin.
Okay.
Then 我是住楼下的。I said 楼下哪里？就是楼下了。Then like, basically, I said, oh, then how? Then like you poor lady here, how? Then later I said, after all, right, we are all, doesn't matter whether we live upstairs or downstairs, we are all part of this world, right? So if you are lost and need help, right, let me know, okay? Then later we see whether we can help you get anywhere. Then I go toilet because I really need to pee. Then I come back and then she gone already. The lift also no up or down. There's no footsteps I heard as well.
Yeah. That's creepy.
Yeah.
Wait, I'm pretty sure you saw a spirit, dude.
I'm pretty sure, yeah. But then
I do like how you reason out also like, now he got a lot of landed property. So she must have come from there. She's feeling very nostalgic.
Hell no.
Wait.
Hell no, it's up in the hill.
Okay, what
she went up I'm on the 6th floor.
Oh,
on
good.
the hill.
Okay.
After we should have climbed a lot more stairs.
No, like I know where roughly where his office is at. It's up in the hill. If you know NUS, like it's basically it's a university in Singapore where it's in the western part of Singapore where it's very hilly. So a lot of the office, right, is like on top of the hill.
Yeah.
Then you need to climb.
It's on a ridge.
So if you were to go by logic, so this auntie decided at 3 a.m. in the morning to climb up the hill from her not so very near like relatively distant landed property and go to like this office,
particular
knowing that she will meet Shao. Take the lift up and then sit in the dark, wait for him. There you are.
In all fairness, she never said that she knew that he would be there. She was lost.
Lost, right?
Yeah. Lost.
So it's basically an energy. I'm like 99% sure that was a spirit.
Oh yeah.
And it was an energy saying that I stay downstairs means that she's from downstairs in hell.
Okay.
Like the hell, like she's probably. But I feel like because of Shao's energy and Shao's characteristics, I think the spirits there are like, this guy's chill. Let's just talk to him. Like this guy's chill.
That's the nicest conversation I've ever heard anybody have.
He's doing important work. He's studying Southeast Asia.
Yeah.
This guy, maybe the auntie gave you inspiration. I don't know.
Yeah. It's like basically it's like so like my friends the next day were like, wow, why this kind of things always happen to you? And then for me it's kind of like the metaphysical status, like whether it is living or dead also doesn't mean we shouldn't be impolite, right? Maybe the etiquette is built into me to be polite to my elders.
I do love how both your stories, right, basically boil down to manners.
Yeah, manners. Yeah.
I mean, like he's not wrong though.
Yeah.
Like he's not wrong. It doesn't pay to be. And yeah, let me correct me if I'm wrong. But you went in with the mindset like, I mean, like you go so what, like you also never disturb me, so I don't need to be like malicious to you lah.
Yeah. And it's like there's a certain underlying logic of social interaction there. Also,
That's it. I can't do that. No one I see auntie I say, I don't care you lie or what. You 3 a.m. outside. You see outside in the dark. Like yo weirdo. I'm like I straight away go back. I pee in the bottle. Straight go back.
I wouldn't even pee in the bottle. So because you said got skeletons inside the
then it's next door. Next room.
Yeah. See. So I wouldn't even do that also. What if you anger the whatever spirits?
Some ancient king.
Exactly.
Hey,
no, maybe your pee is the thing that will awaken them. You know, like one of those curse.
Even worse, right? Why would I want to awaken them? Yeah.
They take your eyeballs.
Can you imagine how angry, right, I would be if I was an ancient king, right? And then after my years of slumber as a spirit, right, somebody woke me up because I could smell pee.
I guess
I would be very upset. At least the auntie came like nice, asking where am I? I'm lost.
Yeah, like yeah, like I have some friends who say like, wow, man, like, like if you follow her down, you'll be dead, everything, that kind of stuff, right? Then I'm just like, yeah, but I'm protected by my Asian work ethic because I have work to do. I cannot go and
I think she was trying to lure you to somewhere lah.
Really?
I don't know. Yeah. No, because she keeps saying like
I keep saying
lost,
downstairs,
I'm lost. Like then she was, and it's also a nice play with words because she was predicting that he would say like, oh, downstairs, let me help you, right? Then they will take the lift, then the lift will go to hell or some shit, right? But he didn't. He's like, no, I need to pee, bro. I need to pee. Downstairs where? And I was like, I don't have time. I need to pee. You wait lah. You here? I go pee.
Yeah, my terrestrial nature, my bodily needs. In this case.
So the spirit is like, crap, I forgot. They need to pee.
Yeah, they still need that.
Okay lah, never mind. I find somebody else.
So those two are your scariest. Do you have more?
I have like basically like a lot of like random kind of things. Like for example, like there's also another one where of course this one is not me, it's a friend basically who kind of how do I say this? Like he said like he knows that I have a lot of this blasé visitations and like I also tend to have like a lot of, I guess you like Chinese fantasy or Taoism, there's this phrase that called 灵气, which is soul energy, right? Basically. So the belief in a lot of this is that if you kind of like purify and cultivate yourself, right, then a person has more energy than themselves. That's a whole qigong kind of thing, right? So for me, I tend to kind of like be like, all right, I think I have enough fire on my left and right kind of shoulder to go by the Chinese thing, right? That I should be able to protect myself from most things, and also because I'm not like roll dice. It's like just because your dice is good probability doesn't mean you should always do stupid shit. So since I don't do stupid shit, I save up my luck, right? Yeah. So it doesn't matter whether the biggest guy around you have a 5% chance to fall down and die, then you keep going to stupid things, that 5% chance will come out. But so this friend of mine knows that, I'm kind of like have familiarity with this kind of things, right? And he said that his house has a bit of trouble in his house. So it turned out that the guy's ancestry is actually from I wouldn't say which culture, but a culture of magic practitioners, basically hexers and occultists, right? And they don't do very well, bad relations with the family. As a young father, the occultist abandoned the family. But now that he's old and wants to feel like I have something to do in my life, also trying to get the kids to join his path, because there's a lot of stories of people selling their children's generations down over to some spirit for power, right? Basically to gain extra power. So his houses were getting, like, the father was showing up, the estranged father was showing up, and the house, after the father showed up, start getting things. Basically, his brother go to take drinks in the fridge and night get knocked down by a thing that people see, a black sheep just run around, and then they found like hair and stuff bound up in bags dug into the house and everything. So it was all full out hexing already, basically. So he said, can you come and just check so that I have another person to basically see, confirm, basically. Then I couldn't make the deadline to go down. I visited before, and the place generally has a very pleasant energy because it's on the ground floor, kind of kampong-y, with a flat kind of vibe, right? There's a lot of plants around wherever. So it's one of those places where, like, to go to that spiritual energy, the inherent energy of the place is, the vibe's quite good one. It shouldn't, it's not like a place where there's recessive kind of like corridors where the feng shui is bad and then like energy coagulates, right? Like dark dripping water. No kind of things like that, right? So they did find a lot of these strange bags with hair and fingernail shards and whatever the kind of stuff inside it. And so they decided to call in a priest from their religious organization, right? And then this priest who was more esteemed came down and did a full exorcism. 4 priests came down, people blessing holy water and taking holy earth and wiping on things, and then there were strange screaming sounds, and then the house felt a lot lighter apparently after that. Yeah, so this one
4 priests.
Yeah, 4 priests, because 3 to kind of like go over the house everywhere and put holy water, holy dirt, basically.
Okay.
More savvy listeners will probably be able to guess the tradition this come from. If it's holy water and holy dirt, basically. So that didn't happen to me. I missed it because I was again rushing my papers.
Your work ethic has really saved you, huh?
Yeah. Like how to not see ghosts, be Asian. Just work lah, just work.
Work up, yeah.
Just
Oh
work.
lah, it's just be professional, get already.
Be professional.
Need to meet deadlines, so cannot see
Professional courtesy.
Yeah.
Which is why I get a cultural dissonance in games, right? For example, sometimes where, for example, people kind of like automatically kind of like the goals are kind of like always hostile, right? Because in my own experiences of things is not always the case. But then again, you know, like maybe the typology is like there's different kinds of entities, right? And then maybe some of them were like playful children spirits, nature spirits, whatever the kind of thing.
Yeah.
Interesting. Then another one of my friends is like who spends a lot of time overseas, overnight with me, right? He's totally not afraid at all as well, but he stays outside. Doesn't want to stay in the rooms because the rooms feel a bit scary, right? So he has no fear of this at all. And there was this story of a woman who will show up inside NUS late at night as well, so we've gotten to the point where like, hey, just we want to stay overnight and then have two people basically, so we got to the point where like we're pretty sure we saw a figure, a red cloak figure kind of move around sometimes, but then we just got to know, like, okay, this one, wow, the book very interesting. Then like, hey, can I borrow your Plato's Republic? It's a very good pillow. Okay, so basically kind of like, again, the mundanity of the world, right?
Yeah.
So we went on the vacation, we went to Thailand, because of our friends, I think graduation trip or something, right? Then at night, right, we were playing, it's a hotel room, we were playing card games, right? Then later he said, we all say, hey, we're going out lah. They say, I don't want to go out. Can we don't go out? I say, they come with us. I don't want to stay alone here. Then he said, I don't feel good. I said, you stay in NUS so long, got all the things there, then you're so scared. That one different. That one is, we all know each other. That one neighbor already. This one is, I am the outsider. Later, I give offense, you see, and then I don't want to be here alone. So then some dumbass decided that we should play one of those horror-based games, right? Okay, like I think Arkham Horror or something, like board game, because someone brought a board game. We play this, Then already he has bad vibes in the hotel room already. And the fucking TV is on, right? Then we get to some point, the TV just statics out constantly, right? Then we're just like, then the phones also like a bit shaky. And we were like, hey, I think something, I don't play this Cthulhu game anymore. Then they say, see, I tell you lah. Then later one last guy is like, you all them fucker, you all have your own room. I'm the one who sleep in this room. You all summon the shit. I don't sleep in this room. So we end up, we all stay in the room together.
Okay lah.
Like you pick it up, you put it down. Okay?
Fair enough.
Let's be honest, like, all of you were scared. So you guys were staying together.
I'll be honest, like, if I was in that situation, I was like, okay, I'll all stay together.
And the guy who actually went out is like, well, lucky I go out. I went to eat street food. go drink beer. And later, what are you dumbasses doing?
Hey, come back. Why are you all in the same room?
Why are you all so scared?
No, he went back to his room. His room had no one. Because he's like, the next day at the hotel breakfast, he's like, hey, where you all go?
Yeah.
I imagine we got a few comments.
Yeah, we have a few comments. Okay. Wow, this is a loaded one.
Wow.
Oh, okay.
So Mali is saying, do you see any changes in general sentiment towards the paranormal then versus now, here and or overseas?
That is a loaded one.
I mean, like, I just talk about the SPI, I guess. Like what the SPI. So like like for example the SPI's schism off quite early into the API, the Asian Paranormal Investigators,
right,
which is another group lah. And the API has had an evolution of its own work, transforming from working in paranormal stuff, remarketed, rebranded, and refocused itself into working on heritage. So I think a lot of the Bukit Brown Cemetery stories and the Bukit Brown research is done actually by members of the API who put in their let's research spooky things into let's research about genealogies and cemeteries. So that's become semi, I guess, like respectable in a sense. But again, the API, when it schismed off, took a lot of the people who were a lot more versed in the social histories and stuff. Whereas the SPI that I do remember going for some events afterwards, right? And then like there was a lot more, there was a bit of like a shift towards more tourism style approaches into like let's do spooky tours basically. So
but still kind of respectful, or
the crowd had changed, and there was also a lot more, I guess, overseas and internationally around that point of time. Big emphasis on urban exploration. Yeah, so the urban exploration vibe is that of like you have a lot of people doing the, either trespassing or whatever. That's always been big in Singapore, but it became a big part of like global culture to kind of like do urban delving and kind of like geocaching, but for forbidden places, right? So I do notice a lot of the people in the 2010s that I saw in the ghost hunting scenes, right, tended to be a lot of more truth seekers, athletically inclined, good at climbing walls, and very interested in things. And then, of course, then from them move into respectfully trying to find out things, right? But because there was also that it's that era of Blair Witch projecting style, so there's a lot of emphasis on going in and trying to find cold spots, etc., kind of things. So there is definitely a bit of a shift, I feel, from a more like these are communities. This is the hidden world that we are part of, that we would like to find out more about respectfully, that kind of vibe, into I would almost say a certain kind of a much more Americanization, right, of like our psyche, right, of how we construct the dead. It's kind of like we are normal, you are the alien, the ghost is the alien. Like there's a bit of a cultural shift towards human is normal, undead, and spirit is no longer part of like neighbor world, but it's kind of like something exotic for clicks. That kind of vibe, right? Yeah. And then the energy basically is also reported in a lot of the films of that era as well. Because a lot of the found footage style films, right? Then I kind of lost track with this scene in the 2013, 2014 of sorts, when I moved more into my other type of magic, which is making games and making people imagine they're barbarians, right? And savage warriors, right? So, but same but different.
Same but different.
Yeah. So, but then I guess that's the vibe that I feel towards the date for tourism, and of course technology as well. Like right now, the cars, right? There's all these like movies about people cyberbullying, and then the ghost comes back on the chat room, that kind of style of thing, right? So I'm not so familiar with like that post-technology scene, right? But there is, I think, like a lot of like in Singapore at least, I did notice a shift towards shit and giggles, piss and giggles,
That always like. I mean, I know it's out there but it always feels very disjointed for me. Because like even like we have like similar sentiments where it's a case of it's not that the ghost is alien or something. It's just part of the culture. Yeah. And if you encounter it, be respectful. Yeah. Protect yourself, yes, but like, just be careful. But it's also not like, I don't want to say it's not a threat, but it's not a threat that's like specifically
a car could knock you down. A car is a threat, right? But so you don't run out into the highway, right?
Exactly like that. It's like that. So like every time I hear about stuff like that, like I mean I know there are people out there that do it, the whole ghost hunting thing also. It's always, I mean, to each their own everything but it always seems very like that to me seems alien. Like why would you do that?
Yeah, I mean like I think like we all agree on this point. It's basically gone from like when someone says that, oh, I'm gonna go do ghost hunting, or I'm gonna go visit a cemetery, people will be like, siao, why you do this? Are you crazy? Like to now it's like, oh, interesting.
Can
we
go?
Yeah, can we go? It's like heritage, right? Because they see it as heritage already. It's like I want to go and see a place that used to be a mortuary. It's like people's like, why would you want to see that in the past? Now it's like, oh, let's go. I'm sure there's some historical elements because horror, superstition, supernatural, they are all tied to history. And that is fascinating. I think that's what makes horror fascinating. Yeah, cool. So there is one question from John. Is Singapore Paranormal Investigators still a thing? Like, is it still active, or are people still interested about it?
I wouldn't be the best person to advise on that. I guess looking at the web presence would probably be useful so to check out. But then, like, whether it's updated or not, I'm not so sure. And also because I guess like one of the patterns I do notice is the constant changing of personnel and members over a 3-4 year 5-year cycle, probably accelerated in this era as well. So, but I'm sure that they will have some kind of web presence.
I can kind of answer that. I think they are still active. Because of the pandemic, a lot lesser in terms of ghost hunting and stuff. I'm not sure of the new people now. I also have a few friends who were in there, but like what Shao said, they usually change people like quite often in terms of who is in the thing. Yeah, honestly, to be honest, ghost hunting is very taxing. It's very tiring.
Physically,
it's physically, yeah. That's
So
why he
much
mentioned
gear.
the athletic thing. Like if you you were to go to Coney Island and try to find the Hopper Brothers villa.
villa, the
it's
zoo
very taxing, like physically it's very taxing. By the time you get there, you might not have the energy to hunt the ghost already. You're like, oh shit, I've gone through a forest just to go to this. Yeah, so
I remember at one point we went there more for a walk than to find it. Then we were like, you want to go look for it or not? Then we both like,
Got toilet or not? Got kopitiam or
go
not?
to go kopitiam or not? It's very far.
Teh peng.
yeah, it's too far.
Already,
Yeah,
Ubin got
yeah, I mean, I don't want to go there because apparently there's like a lot of like bugs and stuff.
Yeah.
That also.
You see, this is how urbanized I am.
Yeah.
My ghost hunting days and my urban exploration days are over.
Can go but then must bring bacon.
No, chop off all the grass.
Yeah, then your head urban exploration like, wow, nice. Then go there like, fuck man, it's waterlocked. I'm not gonna step in there. Then mosquitoes.
Let's put my
soggy
shoe.
socks.
Don't want.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, KS is also mentioning that just now the auntie was saying the downstairs also referring to hell. Like that's the first thing I got.
Yeah.
Like it's so menacing.
See, that's the maybe it's because I don't understand the cultural context because in my head it was like she on 6th floor, right? So my thought was she really was lost. Like I get up here?
It is a double
What is
meaning.
this?
It's a double meaning.
Yeah.
Because elevator it is technically a portal to the back room, right?
Yeah.
So how did she say? Well, okay, did she say 楼下 or 下面？
我是住在楼下的。
Okay.
Right, yeah. Then after she said 就是下面那里 yeah, which is around there basically. So,
下面means like downstairs, down there
yeah.
means like hell. Yeah, which is
See I don't understand context. I just thought it was a very sweet story.
yeah.
Like this poor spirit was lost, and then you're like, no, the things have changed quite a bit.
Kelvin read my mind. Kelvin says I kind of want you guys to make Shao Han stories into a ghost map episode.
I also kind of
Done.
also
We'll do the auntie one. We'll do it in a way. Yeah. So do we have your permission to make it into a ghost map episode?
So that's like a special episode kind of thing.
No, it's just an episode, just a normal episode. Just adapt your story.
Okay, sure.
Yeah. Cool.
He'll need to edit me on that one because I'll still make it a very sweet story.
Oh, I mean, it's kind of
No. We want it to be dark.
It's
dude.
kind of sweet. I
It
guess
is kind of sweet, but
yeah.
until it's kind of sweet until I realize the context of it.
It's kind of sweet, but dark water kind of sweet.
Yeah, but also at the same time, it feels very on brand for an auntie. Like,
Yeah. And then I guess having a ghost map would be good to kind of like feed some residual energy her way so that she is like, that's me, boys. Talking about then maybe they need to kind of like go around, bring people downstairs less.
it's quite interesting you say that. So because like we've had discussion before about like how when we tell the stories, we wonder whether they're listening also. Not to say
Don't break the fourth wall, lah.
not to break the fourth wall or anything like. Not to say like, oh, look at this, we've got fans in there.
Maybe the era of it is they will be like listening through Rediffusion, right?
Yeah, lah. Or maybe like old radio player, like
Old radio players, right?
Yep. Yeah, let's not get into that.
that's okay. Yeah.
So one last question. WSA is asking, can Shao Han share what made him decide to finally leave the SPI?
It's gonna be a recurrent theme again of work. Yeah. At the point of time, like basically my life at the point of time, I was actually working at the aforementioned Buddhist library at night. So I was working an hourly job. Then I was working in the archives, National Archives on totally, at the point of time in the year, I was working on the Japanese war crime trials for Sukching at the time. So that was my all my hourly jobs. Then I was a student, and then I was also a member of the SPI. So it's very much a lot of things going on in life, and pretty much like kind of like me balancing everything so that I can finish my final paper, right? And I always feel a little bit bad about the SPI things because it's like for us in anthropology, there's always this great fear of. Not great fear, there's this coming reflection of the exploitative nature sometimes of the work. It's kind of like go there, you build relations with people, people bring you into the world, you write a paper and then you kind of just disappear, you leave a void. Because like there were some people I read, like there's this guy who learned to be a folk healer from a professional folk doctor. This is somewhere in America lah. Somebody went to Mexico to learn to do traditional folk magic, right? And he had cultivated a relationship with the guy for 20 years. Wow. And the anthropologist and the shaman. Then only when the shaman passed away, then he wrote this very reflective piece about how actually the shaman was sharing his things with him, but hoping to turn the secrets to him so as to continue their tradition. Yeah, but he was just from in the academic world turning that into a paper for him to get a tenure and to a KPI for the year, right? So for me, a little bit of that for my SPI experiences it's kind of like go there. I wouldn't say I use them because it's like kind of like we are a member, right? But I guess I'm just another one of the many splintering people who went there, found something, looking for something, and then moved to something else, right? Also, the core identity of the SPI is also something which, in a way, content is like a great 21st century problem of content, right? That Singapore has only, maybe you can, if your eyes are fresh, everything is exciting. But after a while, it transforms into work to how do we bring people around, how do we set out the equipment, everything. Yeah. And so for me, I didn't have the commitment to stay. That's the frank answer.
Yeah, I mean, it's a very nice answer, and it's very refreshing because people always think that anthropology work is great. It is great, but there is the exploitative part of it because you need to.
Someone lived a life for you to write a paper.
Basically you join them. Like it's like it also happens in my job when I make a documentary. I enter the lives of the people and I stay with them for a few months and then become friends with them. And then I finish documentary and then bye-bye. No more. I mean, I try to maintain the relationship, but like sometimes it just happens.
I'm actually kind of curious because we always talk about like how the supernatural in Southeast Asia is very much part of our culture. Like from an anthropologist point of view, where do you think the supernatural, at least in Southeast Asian culture, where does it sit within the culture? Or what's your point of view of the supernatural within our culture? Especially as somebody who did like the SPI thing as well. So
I guess a lot of it is about trauma, actually. It's about like a lot of people have talked about historical traumas that cannot be talked about publicly, right? So for example, like if you look at, for example, contemporary Chinese fantasy, right, or the xianxia genre, the beautiful men who are totally not gay on the live action one, but in the web novel. Okay, so like basically you see like so much themes of this is about suppression and repression of ancient grudges, right? And then polite everyday hierarchical society says this was necessary for us to get to our modern state today. Don't talk about the people who died. Then I feel like a lot of times, especially in Asia, for me as a Chinese as well, it's like I read a lot about people who say things like, in my past life I must have owed you something, that is why I suffer so much for you now, or in my next life I will still hope to. So it's kind of like there's this fatalistic death my life sucks, man, maybe death will make things a bit better, right? And I think if we repeat that across the culture where essentially we violently traumatically transform from like fishing village into, then we have 2 world wars, we have a Cold War, we have another Cold War, everything. Like for the older folks, right, I guess like a lot of times someone dying somewhere, it could have been them, but they survived because maybe their life bigger, right? And goals, I guess, a lot of times for us is ways to, that could have been me, man. That's my life, basically. Yeah, so I feel like it's a lot about memory to me, and it's also a lot of me about, how do I say, fear of this kind of past coming out suddenly, explosively.
Okay.
It's
nice to get that context. Because for me, for us, it's just it's part of the culture. But then not very often people like think about like, what's not so much the origins but like where does it sit within the culture?
After a great flood in like, let's say, a flooding prone area, and sightings of water ghosts will go up so much there. After earthquake, then later a lot of like people like, be careful of mountain accidents, everything. Because it's like almost like a reflection, right?
Yeah, it is. Like I like to believe subconsciously it is in us. So very nice tangent into our story. Like the story that you guys have been waiting.
People have been asking, is it?
No. They've not been asking, but I think they forgot about it. But basically, Wayne and I have a story that we recently experienced.
Yes.
This is both of us.
Yeah.
So it happened in a place that has a lot of trauma. a lot of tragedy. Changi Beach for our non-Singaporean.
Let people guess all.
No need. Straight go to the point.
Changi
Beach, because Singapore was invaded by Japan during World War II. So there's been an ethnic cleansing lah. Basically, Sukching massacre, they killed a lot of Chinese people, and a lot of the beheadings were at Changi Beach. So that place is well known to be very haunted. And Changi is also there is a backdrop of like Malay villages there. Yeah. So there is also a presence of Southeast Asian entities already there. So on top of that, the trauma, it enhances it to the maximum level.
Very multiracial.
Very Singaporean actually. Yeah. So I'll let Wayne talk about the story. Then I'll add on points.
It's good you let me talk about it because I think you and I have very...
Yes.
We agree on what we think happened.
Yes.
But we have two very different perspectives on it.
Yes.
So we were having a barbecue and a couple of us wanted to head to...
This was actually after last month's June 13th, which was my birthday. And it happened on June the 14th.
June 14th, yeah.
Okay.
That's right. And we wanted to, like a couple of us wanted to head to the washroom, which is, what was it, like a 5 minute or less than 5 minute walk away lah. Yeah. So one of our friends was like, hey, bring my dog for a walk or so lah. So I was like, okay.
Yeah. Four of us.
Yeah, 4 of us. And prior to that, I this was me also, like I think I didn't hook the leash on properly lah. Thankfully the dog is still fine. Spoiler warning, the dog is okay. So we were walking and we were getting quite close to the toilet. And I remember it is a very well trained dog. But then she started barking at like nothing. Like there was a tent over here, but then she was barking in that direction. And like that direction is just ocean and a tree.
Giant tree.
Yeah, giant tree and then ocean beyond, and there's nothing. And then she started barking, and she like from what our friend has told us, she's never been this like
aggressive,
riled up before about like anything, even like if she'll see like other animals or what, bark lah, but then not to this extent. So she ran, and then like the leash came out, and I like that was the scariest part of me. Like, oh, dog running! I jumped, lay on the ground, caught the dog, scraped my knee really badly. I didn't even realize. I was like, thank God, the dog is fine. So lifted up the dog, and immediately once I lifted up, he didn't even notice what was happening at first. Then he heard me fall, and then he turned around.
Yeah,
and he always jokes with the dog. He's always like, ha, come down here, I'm going to cook you and eat you. Ha. I don't think I've ever heard you say anything nice to dog that didn't involve
to the dog,
Then suddenly, like, I already had like a weird, like you said, the vibe suddenly changed. Yeah. In that moment, the vibe really changed. Not, for me, it wasn't necessarily like scary, but I could just feel like something shifted. And then he came over. And then he suddenly, for the very first time in my life, I heard him speak very nicely to the dog. It's like, shh, no, it's okay, be quiet. Which was the other scariest part about this for me. He's like, why are you talking so nicely? And that just confirmed to me, like, okay, something's not right here. Something clearly, like that vibe shift that I felt clearly wasn't just me. Because if he's being nice to the dog, something's up. Never seen that happen before. Then we went to the washroom and everything, and then like, we didn't speak about it.
Yeah.
He went, when we finally got back and I told our friend, the dog owner, that dog ran off, he immediately jumped in. Like before I could say anything, I said, you immediately jumped in and went, oh yeah, I think she saw a rat.
Yeah.
And I was thinking to myself, she did not see a rat. There is no way she saw a rat down there. I am almost 100% certain she did not see a rat. So he said that everything. And then I waited till we all got home. I probably should have waited till the next day. And then I waited till we all got home. And then I messaged Kyle. Something was up, right? I think
no, you did not say that. Wayne basically messaged me and said it wasn't a rat, right?
Yeah, it wasn't a rat, right? And then I know you saw it. Then you're like, I go sleep. I'll talk to you tomorrow. I'll go sleep.
Yeah, I remember I walking this door. Then I put my phone down. I went to wash my feet. I come back. I saw the message. I was like, nope, I'm not going to do this. I'm going to go shower.
Okay, so the story itself, that's basically what happened, right? Like, is there anything that I missed out? That's basically what happened, right?
Okay, so yeah, pretty much it. But from my perspective, right, because that night I was barbecuing food.
Yeah.
So at our barbecue pit, right, there was this big tree.
Oh yes,
See where this is going, right? But it's not a very tall tree. It's like probably just like above us by like maybe like
a
by
meter or two.
Yeah, a meter or so.
Yeah.
And then it's one of those trees that has like it's like it looks like a lime, like the green fruit thing. So throughout the whole night, right, I barbecue. Then I'm quite far from them because they're talking. I'm like cooking up a lot of food for everyone, and then I can feel like leaves keep hitting my head, like 1 time, 2 times, 3. I lost count. I lost count, and then the fruit started coming.
Yeah.
I was like, shit. I had a feeling that it was something. Yeah, and it was dark. And you know what? The first thing, I've never done this. I've broken my own rule. I took the LED light that I have. Actually, you know what? Is this light? Is this same light? And I shine it towards the tree. No. Full blast. Of course, I saw nothing lah. Then I was like, okay, that was a bad idea. I don't know why I did that, but whatever. So then when they wanted to go to the toilet, go to the toilet with the dog, right? Then I was like, okay, I'll go. But nothing in mind. I just put it at the back of my head.
Yeah.
And then when we were walking, I was walking in front and with another friend, and he was walking back alone. And I could hear the barking already. I was like, this is like 10 p.m. already. Why the dog barking? Then after that, I heard pa. I turned. I'm like, what happened to you? And then I saw the dog barking at the tree and him grabbing the dog. Like, and I was like, oh, okay. Yeah. So I know exactly what was happening.
Yeah.
So I walked over and then, I treated the dog nice for the first time.
I used to make fun of the dog, so I used to disturb the dog also. I never disturbed dogs since then.
Yeah.
I've been very nice to that dog.
So my theory is that it was a Miss P. Yeah. Probably a Miss P.
That's okay.
But it wasn't harmful, it was just playful.
That's what I see. I think that's where actually I thought we differed more on that, but actually we got similar. Because I felt in that moment, like I said, like vibe shift lah, but not only not malicious, also weirdly, I felt weirdly relaxed. And I don't know whether that's a good thing or a bad thing lah, but I felt like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
Like, almost like, hi.
Yeah. Yeah, but don't hi too much.
No, I won't say hi, but like I felt like that's what it was lah. It was like something just try to go hi.
Yeah,
I was like, oh, okay.
I chill lah.
Yeah.
Because normally I would, these days when I go out, like to especially these kind of places, I will bring protection. But that day, of all days, I was like, you know what? I'm gonna be cooking, I'll be sweating. Probably don't want to wear the protection because you will get sweaty and all. Yeah, and that and I kind of predicted like, if I don't bring, right, something will probably happen. I was like, whatever lah. I don't think it will be harmful anyway, so I'll just go.
Actually, that's very a question I wanted to ask. So when y'all went for SPI, did you personally bring any kind of protection, or did the group would have?
Yeah, like, I think it's kind of like everybody brought a lot of different people brought different things. Like the more people were like there to like hi, I'm on the day trip there, they didn't. And at the point of time, I was wearing a lot of various amulet things that I knit together myself as well. So I'm always, it's kind of like, the hawk. I'm always angry.
I'm always protected.
Wear like a lot of different things along basically. Yeah.
Okay.
So WSA was asking, did we spell anything? I didn't spell anything. You didn't, right?
I didn't smell anything. I didn't hear anything either, but
no, I only heard the dog. Yeah.
Yeah. That's why I'm like, I know you said it's a Miss P, and I don't doubt that. Yeah. But there was nothing in there before we talked about it.
It was pretty chill lah.
Yeah.
But I remember there was a guy who was fishing right beside the big tree. He just walked away. He just walked back into his tent while the dog was barking. And he was very quiet. And he just walked back and he went back into his tent. That's it.
I remember the dog wasn't barking at him.
Yeah, it wasn't.
It was barking in a different
direction.
But
you saw the guy, right?
Yeah.
I didn't see an apparition, right?
No.
Okay.
I saw the guy. I didn't see the guy walk in.
Yeah, but he went into the tent. Yeah. But so.
Yeah.
Yeah, actually, strangely enough, there were still noises, but that night, I remember it had a full moon. It had one of those large full moon, so that could be one of the contributing factors. And the waves were very soft.
Yeah,
we can't really hear the waves. Usually, that near to the beach, right, you can hear the waves quite loud. It was quite chill that night.
I think the scariest sound for me that night was the sound of all the chichap near the toilet.
Chichap man.
Cannot. Chichap man still can. Chichap cannot. That's a very weird thing. Chichat man, I'm still okay. But
did you make your sound just now?
I don't really.
That's so weird. Chichat is like,
No, this one is Chicha in Wayne's mind.
oh, right.
Yeah, this is what Wayne thinks. Of
This
Chichat
Kawaii
Chichat
Chichat.
Wayne's large and frightened.
It's like waiting for you to take coffee and then I will jump into coffee now, you know. This message was brought to you by the Chichak Spirit trying to scare Wayne Association.
The
Not in Chichat spirit. Real life Chichat can already.
anti-Bagon Association.
Yes.
So, John is asking, what's your opinion on ghost pictures?
Ghost pictures.
Yeah.
Like,
Okay, I'll answer the first one. I'll be the first one to answer because
Wait, what do you mean by ghost pictures?
like photos of ghosts lah.
Oh. Okay.
This is what I've actually learned because when I started my film career, I actually had a few sifus. So I was studying under this photographer who is one of those old school photographers who transited from film to digital. So he told me that actually cameras, they have the ability to get third eye apparently under a very specific circumstance, like I don't know, like the moon is at this stage or whatever, like some geological phenomenon, then the camera will attain the third eye. So that camera itself will be able to actually capture spirits.
So wait, is it a temporary thing where only
No, it's
under
permanent.
Okay,
so that one, like a specific model, so that camera is kind of cursed lah with the third eye, and is more probable for film cameras to get third eye. Digital cameras, yes,
literally about to ask that
but
question.
a lot rarer.
Okay.
Or then one-off occurrence, which is the user who is sway, then they take the photo, then kena. lah. So that's my take on it. I'm like, probably it can happen, but if you were to be really technical and stuff, I have Zoom, like for ghost videos and stuff, and Zoom, and a lot of the times they are just digital artifacts. I think I call bull on that.
Yeah.
It can be fake. Anything can be fake now. So yeah, it's very hard.
I think Chao, what do you think about like
ghost pictures?
yeah
And videos. Yeah.
And videos.
in videos lah?
Like I mean, like I try not to see. I guess we'll see. Yeah, like maybe it's like this. Like I have this like for all my very blasé conversations about accounts of people I see like asking me to go downstairs, right? Like I do much more badly with videos. Like if I'm there, I'm okay. I'm not even just videos of like purported ghost footage. Horror movies I do badly. Yeah, for some reason I'm not sure. So like I had a very stressed out colleague who I think enjoyed watching these things on lunchtime, right? It's just like oh man, like like a very strange sounds coming out of there.
He will watch ghost videos, not horror movies, but like ghost videos.
Ghost videos or whatever on his phone, right? During like just like at the cubicle, right? Then later like like hey, you like this, I got there. Okay, let's detour to another lunch break. But like it always feels to me like I'm afraid of like of what we might find, right? Basically,
Yep.
And also kind of like even if not afraid of what we might find, also like going by my thing of like the anthropomorphing them is like if I was a person and my suffering was like that, I also feel a bit bad lah. Basically, so I feel little bit exploitative of the entity. Yeah. So, but then again, I really like sometimes we click on pictures of like people who get into bad situations, like clickbait pictures on the media, right?
Yeah.
Then like the poor guy is like stuck there forever being that person, right? So even if a particular spirit wasn't malicious at the beginning, right, I'm pretty sure like all our projection repeated onto it might, if there's no ghost there, it may give birth to another kind of entity that is the story-based entity, right? So it's kind of like okay lah, then better just don't touch sometimes. Don't see, don't touch.
To add on to his point, right? When you capture them on digital or physical format, right? Basically, they are trapped. Yeah. Sometimes they are trapped in there, and then they will start haunting. It gets worse. So a lot of the advice that I see online that all the spiritual masters they give, right, is basically just erase them.
Yeah.
Set them free. If not, they're gonna be trapped there.
Yeah, I like. I was trying to figure out a way to phrase my thoughts on it as well, because like I don't like it, but not so much because it's creepy. But I think it's the exploitation of it.
Of that one moment stuck there, right?
Yeah,
the
like
you are now the entity forever.
Yeah, you're the entity that's trapped in the photo. There, right? Like that's a horrible thing to be known as, the entity that's in the photo. And yeah, it doesn't. I don't like I don't like how it almost, like you said, like, is the westernized version of like, oh, shock horror kind of thing. I don't like that. Like that for me feels, I mean, whether or not it's possible, I'm less likely to believe that. I think if you are undead, chances are you are a bit better at not getting captured on like cameras and all that.
Yeah.
But whether or not I believe also, if it does happen, I don't like it. I don't like it.
I mean,
more for them than anything else, lah.
Yeah, like you know those stories of like vampires, no reflection, right?
Yeah.
So it's like so like some people are like, oh, then like that they can't be caught on camera. So
Yeah lah.
Can't be caught on lenses, right?
Yeah lah.
Yeah. So yeah, it's like you take a photo, but there's someone not there. A photo that
Aha,
Mr. Transylvania, that's you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Carl, you look deep in thought.
Yeah.
I feel like you're gonna add on to that point. You look on your face very pensive.
No. So, Melly is asking, any incidents where your preferred choices of protection didn't work?
Yeah, like kind of like just like sometimes it's like you keep like like those yearly charms that you're supposed to return to temples, right? That kind of stuff. For example, then you hang on to them. Generally, it's bad because it kind of like accumulates like the spirit of what used to be no longer there, so it kind of like attracts other things, right? If you hold on to it, and then that's why like I mean like some people like that's how temple make money every year. You come back, you pay. But then other points away, it's like subscription model. They need to circulate the luck energy back, right? Yeah, and then like so definitely I would have feel like sometimes like you just get a vibe, and like for like for example like rosaries, right, like prayer beads, right. I know the big culture where it's like I've gone through a lot when the strings break, right. Then you just put them in a corner, and I tell myself I'll restring them, but I never really quite get around to doing it. And I get a new one instead because it's this like association in my head that the protection, the luck has been used up basically. Like the spiritual bullet has been eaten already basically.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I've never like, I mean, I have experience where it worked rather than it didn't, but it still happens. So having a spiritual object doesn't block you from having an experience. It just protects you, right? Yeah. So what about you?
I like when I was more of a practicing religious person. Like I had religious objects with me.
A scapula and everything. And the fool.
Not that hardcore. Not that hardcore. Although if I stayed with the religion long enough, who knows? Yeah, I don't know if it ever protected, because I remember seeing the first. I think it was a dead body, because I saw an accident right before my eyes, and then the guy didn't move. I don't know whether the guy had died or not, but like I saw it right before my eyes, and that's the only time I've seen. If it was a dead body, that's the only time I see like a dead, not at a funeral or anything lah, a dead body, and it was while I was wearing a religious item. So I don't know. I don't think it's supposed to protect you per se. At least the religion that I belong to, I don't think it's supposed to protect you. I think it's more to use a very weird term, it's to level up your own spirituality. So I don't think it's the object itself. I think it's what the object is supposed to do for you. So it never held any protection from me. So I don't think it's ever not worked in that sense, because like when I had it when I was a religious person, it upped my spirituality lah. So I think I don't think it's ever not worked for me in that sense lah.
Yeah, it's like the saying, right? If you have faith,
it's basically like
it's there, but it's also a placebo effect.
Yeah,
right.
It could be one or the other, and like I'm not a religious person now, but also at the same time I see why having like if you were specifically from the faith that I grew up in lah, if you had those things, why it would it's almost like it's less a protection and more a reminder of who you're supposed to be, what you believe in, and kind of thing. So I like placebo effect is one thing, but I also think if you believe enough, whatever I believe doesn't really matter. Because if that does for you what it's supposed to do, then okay lah, who's to say there's a placebo effect? I mean, I will say it because I don't believe it, but a placebo effect for me could be a spirituality level up for you. Yeah. So yeah.
Interesting.
No. any other questions, or should I move on to our not big
that one's quite big. That one.
It's our usual finale question lah, but it's a broad question.
Okay, I have one. I think it's specifically to me.
Yeah.
So Melly is asking me, when did my protection protect me? Okay, so this protection is basically a very typical protection, which is a Thai amulet. So it actually happened this year. I went to our very famous Old Changi Hospital, full of trauma. And it's one hospital that is very, very haunted. Right? So I was just outside. You can't go in now. It's fully fenced up with security and everything. You step in, motion detectors will call the cops within like minutes. You get arrested. So I was just outside taking some photos for HANTU basically, and I was with a friend who is super non-religious, but I knew that I was going to Old Changi Hospital that day, so I wore it. But for some, it was like 10 a.m. so sun beating down. For some weird reason, right? Like when I turned my back towards the entrance of Old Changi Hospital, right, my amulet had this really loud, like static sound. Pia! Like, you know, like the sound when like you hit mosquito with the electric.
Yeah.
It's exactly like that. Pia! It was so loud that my friend heard it. He was like, what the hell was that? I was like, yeah, nothing. nothing. Let's go. Let's just go. Like anyway, I was done. So let's just go. Then I was like, whoa. Then I told my mom, who was the one who got me the amulet. She said that, yeah, basically I think it protected you from something lah. Like, but I felt the electricity shock, which was like you know, like someone pinching you on the neck.
Yeah.
Very like really quickly. Yeah, it felt like that, and then it had the sound. So that was really weird. So I was like, okay, time to go. I would have taken the science approach if I was in the car, and like if I entered the car, then that happened. It's like the sudden change in like the temperature that could probably explain it, but I was outside. So
what's the amulet made out of?
Gold.
What material?
Gold, right?
Gold. Okay.
Yeah. So yeah. So
do you know of any instance where your like the items that you were carrying? Do you know?
Break, like I mean they're broken on me multiple times. So
No,
I
but
suppose like the strings
yeah.
break, right? And that's a very culturally very significant kind of thing. It's like usually you watch those Wuxia shows, right? Like the person like want to the protections over the rosaries literally break and then they fly the parts. Or like the monk has gone evil and then that's when that happens, right? Usually at point of time it usually does signify a bad luck for me because the last time that happened for you was actually SGCC 2019.
Oh wow!
Then that was just a little before COVID. Like literally it shattered in the event hall, basically. Yeah, then like
I'm not blaming you for COVID, Chow.
Yeah, I know. I think that was a sign there.
A bit suspicious, though.
A bit suspicious. Then I'm just like, cannot be lah. So then later, but like. When things that don't work out well, I sense that, for example, the more subtle ones is things just go missing. For example, like if it's taken up its time and you can't find it anymore, it's like it was perfectly there, but then like an amulet or a talisman or something just goes missing, right? Yeah, and then you link back at it, and then your pattern forming brain is like, was it this? Was it that? And then sometimes it's best to just like, okay, like cycle through to the recycle the energy back into new protections lah. Yeah.
But have you do you know of an instance where like the protection you were carrying, do you know for a fact that it helped?
Oh yeah, helped. Definitely. Like in like basically some spoopy kind of places, right? Then you know that how do I say this? Because like the placebo effect that we're talking about, right? So sometimes we also get a situation where because it could be a mass hysteria kind of incident sometimes, right? Yeah. But then, of course, the problem with that is, of course, that when you have a mass hysteria incident, then it makes things more likely to happen as well, because then the barrier goes down a bit. Then, like, you know, like auto-suggestion more, or maybe things manifest more easily, whatever it could be, right? Yeah. So sometimes you get this sense that things are going to get really south. Then suddenly the energy just jumps back in, right? And then that's when like, hey, something worked, basically, that kind of thing. Either it's whether something merciful happened, the vibe just changed, or whatever kind of thing. Then that's when like, hey, okay, something good, go back and offer some thanks.
Yeah. Interesting.
Oh, Shall we move on to the...
Yes, no more questions.
No more questions, huh? Okay. This one is the easiest and hardest question. What scares you the most?
Oh, scares me. Okay, so like
It can be anything, huh?
anything, right?
Yeah.
Okay,
Our answer is chicha.
Chicha.
Yeah,
right?
chicha.
Okay, right. See, what scares me the most? I think mostly for me, what scares me the most these days is actually, I think how do I articulate that? Let me take the thought down and put forward, because like I haven't asked myself the question for a while, and then I know like usually your server definitions are always a few years, so yeah, like if it was me last time, like, I think like when I asked that question a long time ago, it would have been like fear of something like dementia or something like, losing consciousness of like losing part of a consciousness or transforming part of consciousness.
Yeah.
But now maybe as I get older, it's a bit like, that doesn't seem as scary. Like when maybe 20, you're like, oh, hold up, this is my permanent identity. Then you're twice the age, you're like, hey man, life changes sometimes. I guess the big change, a big fear I have is actually about, in a way, it's like not being able to, I guess, like right now we have all these stories that we're talking about, right? Like all these like spirits and things, right? But I guess for me, one of my big fears is that one day I would lose some of this, either sensitivity or humor in the face of things, I guess. Like, there's a certain kind of vibe of it, basically. Because it's also not just about how I deal with, let's say, like, supernatural experiences or visitations. It's so kind of like my everyday life kind of thing. Like, basically, if like, like someone cuts you off in traffic, you're like, fuck that guy, that kind of thing. Then you got a lot of like that negative energy that flares out, and then the energy kind of reacts to each other, right? Because you kind of like, if I piss you off, you piss me off, we just get into a madhouse together, right? But like same thing with like this, if my fear in my own life, my anxiety goes to a certain point that I will start attracting a lot of more bad shit. I won't attract mischievous stuff or vaguely humorous, enigmatic, what the fuck is that? I'll attract a lot more malevolent things, I think. Yeah. And I fear that, I guess in a sense I fear that I will one day have that and deserve that whatever coming for me, like a horror movie, like a bad horror movie, like a bad guy in a horror movie, kind of thing. So I'm kind of, I guess, like, what I'm most scared of is that loss of not even spirituality, I guess, that's about a certain spiritual aspect of life. Yeah. So existential crisis.
I'm quite sure that's one of the deeper answers to that question.
Very deep, very zen.
Yeah. Makes our chicha answer look a bit.
Chicha is also
very primal.
It's very primal. Like, for example, animals, that kind of stuff is like, also maybe one of those protective elements. I don't want to talk about it because later come out, that kind of thing. Yeah.
That is true.
Like a friend who's terrified of, very, very, very bad for him, birds are. And birds are so everywhere in Singapore. Right?
We have at least one friend that's also terrified of birds. Are you laughing because you know the one friend that terrified?
I think I remember. Did this come out in the D&D game?
Yes, a very specific kind of bird.
Yes, it did come out.
Yeah, nice. I like.
I don't remember that. Yeah,
that's funny. That's damn funny.
Wait. Do we have any other questions?
No more.
Okay, because that's a wonderful line to end on.
Very good.
Okay, before we wrap things up, Shao, once again, tell us about Curious Chimeras. Tell everybody.
One last push.
One last push where they can find out more about you guys.
Yep.
Okay, so we can find us on our website. Our social media is and the handle is on there, on today's channel, on today's cast, right? And other things you can find out about me is you can just basically Google my name, right? Tan Shao Han. I teach a lot of students, and I'm sure that they've Googled my name before to find out who the hell is this bald guy talking to them, because I don't have Google autocomplete putting my name so easily before I did teaching. But you can probably find my role-playing game work there as well. A lot of my work, I do some work for Wizards of the Coast, which is the Dungeons and Dragons company. But I do a lot more work for Pathfinder, which is also a different D&D product from another company. And I also make my own stuff. Yeah, I'm very glad to be here. Very happy that both of you gave me this opportunity to come on to this 13th episode of this show.
Well, we have invited you no matter what the number was, but very nice that it was 13.
Very nice, yeah.
We're glad to have you here too, Shao. All right, shall we wrap it up?
Yep.
Okay, I'm gonna do my BBC voice again, but non-British BBC voice.
Yeah.
New episodes of Ghost Maps go online every second and fourth Thursday of the month on Spotify, YouTube, Apple Podcasts, and all major platforms. To make sure you never miss an episode, subscribe and follow us on social media at We Are HANTU. That is one word, WEAREHANTU. If you would like to share your own stories that could inspire future episodes of Ghost Maps, you can reach us through the contact form on hantu.sg or message us directly through Facebook and Instagram. You can also be one of our supporters on Patreon at patreon.com/wearehantu. Again, that's WEAREHANTU. All right, sign off.
Yep.
And a 1, 2, 3. And remember, just because they're stories, it doesn't mean they're not true.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, everyone.
Shao.
Thank you again, Zhao.
Thank you.
Good night.
Good night.
Good night, everyone.